Chapter 2970. Boom. The spear light exploded like a planet exploding, forming a terrifying energy storm that swept toward Wan Yi and the others. Bam. The battle swords formed by Wan Yi and the others trembled violently and buzzed. Then, they exploded, forming countless energy waves that shot towards Wan Yi, Dragon Cave, and the others. Boom. 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 This energy was too strong. When it charged out, a large number of demon capital guards didn't even have time to react before their bodies exploded and their souls scattered. In an instant, at least 300 demon city guards had died under this move, and the entire Great Formation had been scattered. Once the formation was opened, the power of the three demon lords and the demon guards was dispersed. How could Lu Ming miss such an opportunity? Bam. He stomped on the ground and his body that was a few hundred meters tall rushed up. The divine power that he had stored in the measure word formula surged into Lu Ming's body and flowed out through his arms. Kill! Lu Ming roared and swept out his spear. The huge spear that was 10,000 miles long enveloped a large number of demon guards. Bam! Bam! One by one, the demon capital guards exploded in the air like rotten tomatoes. Blood splattered everywhere. This spear had killed at least 500 demon guards. Damn it, damn it! Wan Yi, Dragon Cave, and the other two demon lords roared in their hearts, unable to remain calm. At this moment, other than Wan Yi, the other two demon lords regretted. If they had known that Lu Ming was so terrifying, they would have listened to Wan Yi and burned their divine power to kill Lu Ming in one fell swoop. However, it was too late to regret now. Lu Ming stared at the three demon lords and thrust his spear at the demon lord of Dragon Cave who was closest to him. The spear light was like a shooting star, instantly approaching the demon lord of Dragon Cave. Not good. The demon lord of Dragon Cave was shocked. He quickly waved his hands and used his strongest move to block. However, when Lu Ming was at the third level of the celestial god realm, his strength had already suppressed a half-step divine king demon lord. Now that he had broken through to the fourth level of the celestial god realm, his strength was even more overwhelming. Boom! The spear light pierced through the Dragon Cave Demon Master's attack without stopping, continuing to stab towards the Dragon Cave Demon Master. The body of the Dragon Cave's Demon Master was directly pierced by the spear light, a bloody hole appearing. Dragon Cave Demon Master screamed miserably, his body flying outwards, seriously injured. Die! Lu Ming did not give the Dragon Cave's Demon Master any chance. He took a step forward, and his spear lashed out at the Dragon Cave's Demon Master's head. The Dragon Cave Demon Master was already heavily injured, so how could he dodge? With a miserable cry, Lu Ming's head exploded, and he died on the spot. A Demon Master was killed just like that. In the surroundings, many of the Demon Capital Guards were almost scared to death. They didn't have the slightest bit of will to fight. They turned around and ran, not daring to stay for even a moment. Let's go, let's go. Not to mention the demon capital guards, even Wan Xie was incomparably terrified. He took Wan Xing and fled madly. The other demon master also fled in another direction. Don't even think about leaving. With a cold shout, a sword light shot out from the rubble below and slashed at the fleeing demon master. I didn't expect such a genius to be captured and brought to the beast battle arena. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. The one who attacked was a young man with a cultivation of peak level 7 heavenly god realm. However, his combat strength was extremely shocking, as he was able to hold back the demon master. Such strength was not weaker than Pei Lin. Obviously, for some unknown reason, this young man was also captured and brought to the beast battle arena. The demon capital mountain was really daring to do anything. They even dared to capture such a genius. Was it because of the mountain behind them? Lu Ming's mind raced as he chased after Wan Xie at an extremely fast speed. He must kill Wan Xie and Wan Xing, damn it, Wan Xie was shocked. He frantically burned his divine power and flew forward. However, Lu Ming executed the 9 heavens Kunpeng technique, as if he had turned into a Kunpeng. His speed was faster than Wan Xie's, and the distance between the two was rapidly shortened. When the distance was shortened to a certain extent, Lu Ming thrust out his spear, and a spear light burst out, rushing rapidly towards Wuxia. Wuxia had no choice but to stop and turn around to block the attack. Wuxia's combat strength was higher than usual as he was burning his divine power. He managed to block Lu Ming's attack, but his body was pushed back. His face was pale, and he spurted out a mouthful of blood. Your divine power should be almost depleted soon, right? Lu Ming stepped forward, looking down at Wuxia and Wan Xing from above. Under Lu Ming's body that was a few hundred meters tall, Wan Yi and Wan Xing were like two ants. Father, what should we do? What should we do? Wan Xing was scared to death. His body was trembling, and his face was extremely pale. He was used to acting like a tyrant in the beast battle arena, and even demon capital city. With Wuxia's name, not many people dared to go against him. He had always been high and mighty. When had he ever faced such a situation? He was completely flustered, and he was out of his wits. Lu Ming, there's something that you probably don't know. My demon capital mountain has a backer in 9 Extinction Heavenly King Mansion. He's a real big shot. If you kill us, the big shot from 9 Extinction Heavenly King Mansion won't let you go. Wuxia said coldly. The backer of Demon Capital Mountain. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. As long as he knew who the backer of Demon Capital Mountain was, he might be able to find out who was the traitor of 9 Extinction Heavenly King Mansion. Speak, who's the backer of Demon Capital Mountain? Or which force is it? Lu Ming asked coldly. You want to know who's behind us? You just need to know that we have a backer behind us, a backer that you can't afford to offend. Otherwise, with a treasure like the Devil Night Spring, how could the Devil Capital Mountain have survived until now? Wuxia sneered and threatened Lu Ming. Not going to say it? Then I'll search for it myself. Lu Ming wasn't afraid of threats. As soon as he finished speaking, he waved his spear and swept it towards Wuxia. Wuxia was shocked. He didn't expect that Lu Ming wouldn't be threatened at all and could only resist with all his might. However, he had been burning his divine force for a long time and had consumed a lot of it. He didn't even exchange a few blows with Lu Ming before his divine force was completely burned out. Bang! Lu Ming's spear landed on Wuxia's body. The lower half of Wuxia's body exploded, leaving only the upper half of his body floating in the air. His aura was weak. Then, Lu Ming reached out and grabbed at the void. A suction force appeared and caught Wan Xing in his hand. Wan Xing was like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered in Lu Ming's hand. He didn't have the slightest strength to resist and could only scream miserably. No, don't kill me. Father, save me, I don't want to die. Wan Xing was crying and snot. He was so scared that he even wet his pants. When he killed others, he didn't even blink. He was even excited. When it was his turn, he was more afraid than anyone else. Don't kill him. Wuxia roared. Speak, tell me who's the backer of Demon Capital Mountain and I can consider letting him go. Lu Ming said. Chapter 2971. Lu Ming used Wan Xing to threaten Wuxia, wanting him to reveal the backing behind the Demon Capital Mountain. I don't know who the backing behind the Demon Capital Mountain is. I only know that the Demon Capital Mountain has a backer, Wuxia roared. How dare you trick me? Lu Ming's eyes turned cold as he exerted force in his palm. Wan Xing screamed as his body exploded. I really don't know. I'll fight it out with you. Wuxia roared as he mustered his remaining strength and charged towards Lu Ming. I'll send you on your way. Lu Ming said coldly as he exerted force in his palm. Wan Xing's body exploded, his soul scattered. At the same time, Lu Ming executed the moon beheading technique. A crescent-shaped spear light flashed. When the spear light disappeared, Wuxia also disappeared, vanishing into thin air. Lu Ming didn't have the slightest mercy towards people like Wuxia and Wan Xing. Wuxia and Wan Xing were father and son. They controlled the bestial battle arena and committed all kinds of crimes. After so many years, countless people had died in their hands. Lu Ming didn't search Wuxia's soul because there was no need to. Since Wuxia said that he didn't know, then he really didn't know. With a wave of his hand, he kept Wuxia's storage ring and returned to the bestial battle arena in a flash. At this moment, Almost all the demon capital guards in the bestial battle arena had run away. Only that young man was still fighting with another demon lord. Although that demon lord had the upper hand in terms of strength, that young man was fighting without any regard for his life. He was entangled with the other party and didn't care even if he was injured. At this moment, seeing Lu Ming return, that demon lord was almost scared to death. Lu Ming directly charged over. With Lu Ming's participation, that demon lord's fate was sealed. It didn't take long for him to be killed by Lu Ming. "Brother, thank you for saving me this time." That young man cupped his fists towards Lu Ming with a face full of gratitude. "You're welcome. I was just passing by." Lu Ming smiled and put the demon master's storage ring away with a wave of his hand. "You must be a genius from the outside world, right? I'm really curious. Why are there so many people here this time around?" Lu Ming looked at the young man. "To tell you the truth, we came to the demon capital mountain this time to complete a mission." The young man said. "Mission?" Lu Ming was taken aback. This was indeed somewhat unexpected. "Could it be that you are here to complete the mission of the Starry Camp? Is the Starry Camp going to start recruiting again?" Meanwhile, Wu Zifeng spoke abruptly. Previously, Lu Ming had been with Autumn Moon, Wu Zifeng, and Yu Linglong. The three of them were by Lu Ming's side. "You know?" The young man stared blankly at Wu Zifeng. "I am Wu Zifeng." Wu Zifeng brought his fists together. "So you're a disciple of the Wu clan. No wonder, I am Yang Shi. You're right, this is indeed the mission given to us by the Starry Camp. Those who wish to join the Starry Camp have to go through a trial. This time, our trial is to obtain the Demon Master Badge and the Demon King Badge of the Demon Capital Mountain. The Demon Masters and Demon Kings of the Demon Capital Mountain have a badge that represents their identity. Only those who have obtained the Demon Master Badge and the Demon King Badge of the Demon Capital Mountain are allowed to join the Starry Camp." The young man explained. "Starry Camp?" Lu Ming listened with a confused expression. "Brother Lu, the Starry Camp is the place where the geniuses of the 9 Extinction Heavenly Emperor Palace gather. The strongest geniuses of the 9 Extinction Heavenly Emperor Palace are all gathered in the Starry Camp." Wu Zifeng explained. "Is the cultivation environment of the Starry Camp that good? So many geniuses of the 9 Extinction Heavenly Emperor Palace are gathered there?" Lu Ming was curious. The cultivation environment is one thing. The main thing is that only by joining the Starry Camp can one be recommended to cultivate in the core cultivation sacred grounds of the Taishu dynasty. This is essential if one wants to rise up in the Taishu dynasty and occupy a high position. Wu Zifeng explained. Lu Ming understood. This was a bit like the imperial examinations in the mortal world. One had to follow the rules step by step to reach a high position. Lu Ming's eyes looked towards the direction of the City Lord Mansion. He finally knew why these geniuses would suddenly attack the City Lord Mansion. It was because of the Demon Master Badge and the Demon King Badge. This time, Lu Ming was the first to make a move. It was like a fuse that ignited the battle. In fact, even if he did not make a move, those geniuses would find a chance to make a move. "You guys stay here first. I'll go and take a look." After Lu Ming finished speaking, his body shrunk and returned to his normal form. As his cultivation increased, his divine body became stronger and stronger. The time he spent in his ancient divine body also became longer. This was the benefit of having a lot of stamina. "Young master, be careful," Chiao Yu reminded. "Don't worry." Lu Ming smiled and then flew towards the City Lord Mansion. Chiao Yu and the rest did not follow. Yang Shi also did not follow. He was injured previously and needed time to heal. Soon, Lu Ming arrived in the vicinity of the City Lord Mansion. However, he did not make a move. Instead, he found a secluded place nearby to hide. Then, he took out a divine pill and swallowed it. This kind of divine pill could restore stamina. Moreover, Lu Ming was also injured previously and needed time to heal. After that, there might be a big battle to fight. This time, the matter was beyond Lu Ming's expectations. In this way, the Demon Capital Mountain could not be saved and would be destroyed. Lu Ming wanted to find out which force was colluding with the Dark Ice Tribe and the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Mansion, so he could only rely on the Dark Knight Demon King. Lu Ming was waiting for the Dark Knight Demon King to appear. In the sky above the City Lord Mansion, the battle was extremely tragic. Demon capital guards were constantly killed and their corpses fell to the ground. The City Lord Mansion was filled with the corpses of the demon capital guards. The remaining 4 demon lords were also suppressed by the 4 9th-level heavenly god prodigies. They were in danger. "I'll fight it out with you," one of the demon lords roared. The divine power in his body burned as he fought fiercely with the 9th-level heavenly god prodigies. At the same time, the other 3 demon lords gritted their teeth and burned their divine power, desperately trying to escape. Want to escape? Dream on. The 4 9th-level heavenly god prodigies shouted coldly. They did not want to achieve anything, but they did not want to make any mistakes. They changed their strategy and only entangled the other party, no longer taking the initiative to attack. There was a time limit to burning divine power. Soon, their divine power would be exhausted. At that time, they would be at their mercy. Indeed, not long after, the 4 demon lords' auras rapidly declined. The sound of a sword shook the sky. The black-robed youth slashed across the sky and killed a demon lord. Die! The youth covered in golden light killed a demon lord with a palm. An Wu Shui's senior brother, the blood-robed youth, also killed a demon lord. Demon lord, demon lord. The last demon lord roared crazily, his face full of unwillingness. However, before he could say anything, he was also killed. At this point, the 9 demon lords of the demon capital city were all dead. Chapter 2972. After the 4 prodigies killed the demon lords, they looked towards the depths of the City Lord Manor. Boom! At this moment, a vast aura erupted from the depths of the City Lord Manor. Following which, a figure stepped out and stood in the air. This person was the Dark Knight Demon King. Dark Knight Demon King, you finally appeared. Wu Shui's senior brother, the blood-robed youth said coldly. But why do you want to kill us? The Dark Knight Demon King's face was filled with malevolence. Why do you ask so many questions? Do we need a reason to destroy a small demon capital mountain? The youth who was covered in golden light was extremely domineering. Haha, I don't need a reason. Indeed. The Dark Knight Demon King laughed, his eyes becoming even more malevolent. He stared at the 4 prodigies and sneered, although your talents are high, you're only in the heavenly god realm. Do you think you can fight me? Also, you've just gone through a huge battle and should have used up a lot of your divine energy. Ha! The Dark Knight Demon King sneered. So you didn't come out just now because you wanted to use up our divine energy. What a vicious method. The black-robed youth said. Obviously, the Dark Knight Demon King knew about the battle outside. However, no matter how the demon lords shouted, the Dark Knight Demon King didn't appear. He wanted to let the demon lords use up their divine energy. The more they used up, the more confident he would be. Haha, those trash sacrificed themselves for me. It's a worthy death. As for you, there are so many prodigies. Today, I'll be able to kill so many of you. Ha! The Dark Knight Demon King sneered, his aura becoming even more violent. Boom! He suddenly attacked, throwing out a palm. This palm was aimed directly at the prodigy who was covered in golden light. Boom! The youth who was covered in golden light had been paying attention to the Dark Knight Demon King. The moment the Dark Knight Demon King attacked, he attacked as well. A huge golden palm print blasted forward. The 2 palm prints clashed in the void. Boom! The void exploded, and a powerful force spread out. Then, the golden palm print collapsed and the youth who was covered in golden light retreated, spitting out a mouthful of blood. There's an insurmountable gap between the heavenly god realm and the god king realm. Today, I'll let you know that the gap between the heavenly god realm and the god king realm isn't something that can be bridged with talent. The Dark Knight Demon King roared. His entire being emitted a dazzling light, as if he was a burning star. His divine energy was extremely dense. Even the weakest divine king was several times stronger than a heavenly god. Boom! The demon of the night moved again, continuing to attack the young man who was covered in golden light. King's Suppression Pagoda. At this moment, the young man whose body was covered in golden light let out a long cry. His forehead shone and a small pagoda flew out. The small pagoda was golden in color. After it flew out, it rapidly enlarged, becoming the size of a mountain. The small pagoda trembled, and waves of mysterious energy spread out, enveloping the darkness Devil King. The Dark Knight Demon King's aura trembled as if it was unstable. Damn it, a treasure specially made to deal with divine kings, the Dark Knight Demon King roared. This kind of treasure wasn't a divine weapon, but a secret treasure that had been specially made. This kind of secret treasure was specially made to deal with divine kings. It produced a special wave that could affect the divine king's star nucleus. When the star nucleus was unstable, one's strength would be greatly reduced. Of course, the higher one's cultivation was, the smaller the effect would be. However, for someone like the Dark Knight Demon King, who was in the first heaven of the King God realm, the effect was still significant. If talent can't make up for it, what about treasures? The young man whose body was covered in golden light sneered. His aura burst out, and he attacked the Dark Knight Demon King. Boom! The two of them exchanged another blow. This time, the young man whose body was covered in golden light was pushed back again. You want to rely on a treasure to deal with me? Dream on. The Dark Knight Demon King roared. He crazily circulated his divine energy, trying to get out of the range of the King's Suppression Pagoda. Who said that there's only one treasure? King Destruction Bell. Wuxia's senior brother waved his hand, and a big green bell flew out. Ding, ding. The big bell vibrated, producing sound waves that rushed towards the Dark Knight Demon King. The Dark Knight Demon King's aura trembled, becoming unstable. King Extinction Sword. The black-robed young man shouted coldly. He waved his hand, and a battle sword flew out. Boundless sword chi rushed towards the Dark Knight Demon King. Three treasures that were specially used to deal with god kings. At this moment, the Dark Knight Demon King's expression changed. It became extremely ugly. Under the suppression of the three treasures, he could feel the star nucleus in his body trembling non-stop, as if it was being suppressed. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't exert his full strength. Dark Knight Demon King, today will be the day you die. Wuxia's senior brother sneered. His figure flashed, and he charged towards the Dark Knight Demon King. At the same time, the other three Ninth Heaven God Realm geniuses also charged towards the Dark Knight Demon King. You want to kill me? Don't even think about it. The Dark Knight Demon King roared. How could he allow himself to be captured without putting up a fight? He used all his strength to resist. Boom, boom, boom. The four geniuses and the Dark Knight Demon King engaged in an intense battle. The City Lord's mansion was boiling, and all kinds of divine lights were flying in all directions. In the surroundings, the battle between the other geniuses and the Demon City Guards had already stopped. The remaining Demon City Guards who were still alive had already fled. The other geniuses didn't chase after them. Their target was the 9 Demon Lords and the Dark Knight Demon King. Killing the Demon City Guards was useless. During this process, Lu Ming didn't make a move. It was such a good opportunity to sit on the mountain and watch the tiger head. Why would he stupidly rush out? He focused on recovering and healing his injuries. The wounds on his body had basically healed, and his stamina had also recovered by 60 to 70%. He was waiting for an opportunity to make a move. Let's attack too. On the side, Pei Lin, Wuxia, and a few other stronger geniuses also joined the battle. Under the influence of the secret treasure, their strength was enough to pose a threat to the Dark Knight Demon King. In the blink of an eye, the battle between the two sides had gone on for a few minutes. The Dark Knight Demon King was gradually losing and was at a disadvantage. A sword light flashed, and a sword wound appeared on the Dark Knight Demon King's body. Blood flowed out. Bang! Following that, the young man whose entire body was suffused with golden radiance imprinted a palm print on the Dark Knight Demon King's body, causing the Dark Knight Demon King to stagger and retreat repeatedly. Blood seeped out from the corner of his mouth. Seeing the Dark Knight Demon King injured, these geniuses became even more excited. They used all kinds of methods, divine skills, and secret techniques, which broadened Lu Ming's horizons. Lu Ming discovered that the secret techniques that these geniuses of the Nine Extinction Heavenly King Mansion controlled were shockingly powerful. Some were even comparable to his Divine Dragon Aspect technique. Of course, this was because Lu Ming was far from cultivating the Divine Dragon Aspect technique to greater mastery. The Divine Dragon Aspect technique was obtained from a ruin. The more Lu Ming cultivated, the more he felt that it was unfathomable. If he could cultivate hundreds or thousands of Divine Dragon Aspects in the future, that kind of power made Lu Ming incomparably look forward to it. Chapter 2973. The Dark Knight Demon roared furiously as he tried his best to resist. Both of them exchanged over 100 blows. More and more wounds appeared on the Dark Knight Demon's body. He relied on the defense and vitality of a Divine King to hold on for the time being. However, if this continued, he wouldn't be able to hold on any longer and would be exhausted to death. He was frustrated as he couldn't unleash his full strength. The Dark Knight Demon frantically activated the Star Core, but the three secret treasures emitted a strange wave that restrained his Star Core. He tried his best to unleash his full strength, but he could only unleash 50 to 60% of its power. A sword light slashed towards the Dark Knight Demon's neck. He dodged it quickly, but it still left a wound on his cheek. Damn it, damn it! The Dark Knight Demon roared. He was a little crazy after being injured continuously. His eyes were filled with malice. If you want me to die, then let's die together. It's worth it to drag all of you down with me. The Dark Knight Demon King roared. His aura suddenly became berserk. Following that, a ball of light emitted from his dantian. The ball of light was dazzling and resplendent. Following that, a crystal the size of a dragon's eye appeared. As soon as the crystal appeared, it emitted a terrifying wave of energy. It's a star core! A young man exclaimed. In the distance, Lu Ming's gaze also froze. He recognized that the crystal was a star core. This was the star core that the Dark Knight Demon condensed when he broke through to the Divine King realm. It was different from the stellar core that Lu Ming obtained. The stellar core that Lu Ming obtained was many times stronger than this star core in terms of size, quality, and energy waves. Although it couldn't be compared to the stellar core, the energy waves emitted by this star core were extremely terrifying. Buzz. As soon as the star core appeared, it vibrated slightly. Then, a terrifying wave of energy spread out from the star core as if it was going to break through the suppression of the three secret treasures. Oh no, he's going to self-destruct his star core. Retreat. The young geniuses were terrified as they backed off in a frenzy. Go to hell. The Dark Knight Demon King roared with a ferocious look on his face. Then, with a cracking sound, a crack appeared on the star core and it split into two. Half of it flew into the Dark Knight Demon King's dantian while the other half exploded with a boom. The Dark Knight Devil King didn't really want to completely detonate his astral core. He actually split it into half. This way, he could at least preserve some of his cultivation base. Even if it was only half of a star core's self-destruction, the power would still be terrifying. It was as if a planet had exploded. A mushroom cloud rose up, and a terrifying energy rushed out in all directions. The first to bear the brunt were the three secret treasures. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The three secret treasures shook violently. Then, cracks appeared on them. Soon, more and more cracks appeared on them. Then, they exploded. The three secret treasures exploded one after another, and the ripples disappeared. The remaining energy caused the Sky Prides to vomit blood. Fortunately, they had reacted early and retreated early. Moreover, the Dark Knight Devil had only self-destructed half of its star core. Although they were injured, their injuries were not serious. The Dark Knight Devil King also vomited blood. After self-destructing half of his star core, he was also seriously injured and his vitality was greatly damaged. At this moment, the Dark Knight Devil King couldn't care less about his injuries. He ran for his life. He didn't know where to go and randomly chose a direction to escape. That direction happened to be the direction where Lu Ming was hiding. Chase. The Sky Prides caught their breath and chased after the Dark Knight Devil King. Swish. The Dark Knight Devil King's speed was very fast. Soon, he was not far away from Lu Ming. He's really coming to me. Lu Ming curled his lips and took out a long spear. With a swing of his hand, the long spear flew out like lightning and went straight for the Dark Knight Devil King's face. The Dark Knight Devil King was shocked. He waved his hand and slapped the long spear away, but his body also paused for a moment. At this moment, Lu Ming had already rushed out. Swish! Lu Ming soared into the sky and charged toward the Dark Knight Devil King. In the process of rushing out, his body swelled rapidly and turned into a few hundred meters tall green-armored ancient god. Even before Zhang Xian arrived, the 9 ice chains had already rushed out. It's you, Lu Ming. Get lost. When the Dark Knight Devil King saw Lu Ming, he roared and slapped out with his palm. The earth-shattering palm force shattered the 9 ice chains. However, Lu Ming's follow-up attack also arrived. Moon slashing. Lu Ming held the spear with both hands and slashed down. A huge spear light pressed down on the Dark Knight Devil King. Boom! The spear light collided with the Dark Knight Devil King's attack. The Dark Knight Devil King's body shook violently. His palm almost exploded and blood spurted out of his mouth. The Dark Knight Devil King had self-destructed half of his star core. His vitality was greatly damaged and his strength was less than 10%. After Lu Ming reached the 4th level of the Heavenly God realm, his combat strength had completely surpassed the current Dark Knight Devil King. As soon as the two exchanged blows, the Dark Knight Devil King was severely injured. Star explosion. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Lu Ming used his strongest move. A ray of spear light suddenly burst out and pierced towards the Dark Knight Demon King. The Dark Knight Devil King roared and tried his best to defend himself. However, the spear light exploded like a star core. The Dark Knight Devil King screamed in agony. He was blasted into pieces by the force. Only his soul was left. He tried to escape. However, Lu Ming grabbed with his hand and a 9-clawed dragon flew out. It opened its mouth and swallowed the Dark Knight Devil King's soul into the air. With a mournful and unwilling scream, the Dark Knight Demon King's soul was completely destroyed. The Dark Knight Devil King was dead. Following this, Lu Ming waved his hand and put away the Dark Knight Devil King's storage ring. As soon as Lu Ming put away the storage ring, Wu Shui's senior brother, the young man covered in a golden glow, and the others arrived and appeared in front of Lu Ming. "Brat, it's you!" Wu Shui roared, looking extremely ferocious. "It's me!" Lu Ming smiled faintly. "Brat, hand over the Dark Knight Devil King's storage ring and I'll give you a quick death." Wu Shui's senior brother, the young man in a blood-red robe, said coldly. He didn't hide his killing intent at all. "Give me a quick death? With just you?" Lu Ming said in disdain. Brat, don't think that you're so great just because you got first place in the Battle of Magic City. At that time, it wasn't convenient for us to fight so as not to alert the enemy. Otherwise, who do you think you are? The young man in a blood-red robe sneered. He suddenly took a step forward and rushed towards Lu Ming. A huge blood-red palm grabbed at Lu Ming. "Get lost!" Lu Ming shouted and swept out his spear. Boom! The blood-red palm collapsed and the young man in a blood-red robe retreated. "For your strength." The young man in a blood-red robe looked at Lu Ming in shock. He wasn't a match for Lu Ming at all. Previously, although Lu Ming was strong and could defeat Pei Lin, the young man in a blood-red robe thought that he could defeat Lu Ming. However, in the previous exchange, Lu Ming's strength had completely surpassed his. Chapter 2974. Trying to kill me with your strength? You're the one who's going to die today. Lu Ming smirked and charged at the young man in a blood-red robe. Meanwhile, the other young geniuses made their moves too. All kinds of attacks were directed at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. His spear shuddered and fired a few dozen spear glows at the geniuses. However, Lu Ming had now broken through to the 4th layer Heaven God realm. His strength was at his peak. Meanwhile, the young man in a blood-red robe and the others were slightly injured when the Dark Knight Demon Emperor detonated half of his star core. Therefore, they were no match for Lu Ming even if they teamed up. The spear glows were blinding and sharp. They penetrated the attacks of the young man in a blood-red robe and the others. The young man in a blood-red robe and the others were knocked back. Trying to kill me with your strength? Lu Ming sneered. He held his spear and charged forward. The long spear vibrated and a huge spear gleam swept out. The young man in a blood-red robe and the others wore unpleasant looks. They yelled furiously and executed their strongest moves. However, they were no match for Lu Ming. They were knocked back in the end. Damn it, why is this kid so strong? The young man in a blood-red robe and the others yelled in their hearts. They were the geniuses of the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Palace, but they had never seen Lu Ming before. Where did Lu Ming come from? Bang! Lu Ming continued to step forward with a ferocious aura. The young man in a blood-red robe and the others were stunned. They subconsciously backed off. Lu Ming was advancing while they were backing off. They no longer had the courage to fight. Given their current situation, they would only lose if they continued to fight. Back off. In the end, the young man in a blood-red robe and the others were unwilling to give up. They executed their movement techniques and backed off, distancing themselves from Lu Ming. Cowards, you still want my storage ring? Piss off. Lu Ming snapped coldly. The young man in a blood-red robe wore an unpleasant look. Kid, I'll remember what happened today. The blood-robed young man said coldly. Then, his figure flashed and he left the place. The other young geniuses also glanced coldly at Lu Ming. They had no choice but to leave. Not long after, all the geniuses had left. Let's search this place. Lu Ming shrunk his body and said to Autumn Moon and the others. Then, they rushed into the city lord's mansion and searched to see if they could find any clues. The originally majestic city master's mansion had already collapsed. It was a mess and there was no one inside. Lu Ming and the others shuttled through the ruined city master's mansion to see if they could find any clues about the Dark Eyes tribe and the 9 Extinction Heavenly King's mansion. They did not notice that a person had appeared not far from the city lord's mansion. This person was the daughter of the Night Demon King, Dark Knight Rose. Dark Knight Rose hadn't appeared in the previous battles. Dark Knight Rose looked at Lu Ming and the others in the distance. Her eyes were filled with hatred, greed, and other complicated emotions. Lu Ming, sooner or later, devours you. Dark Knight Rose laughed coldly. Her eyes flashed with an evil light. Then she disappeared in a flash. Just as Dark Knight Rose disappeared, 2 black figures appeared out of thin air. The 2 black figures were wrapped in black robes. Their faces couldn't be seen clearly. Only a pair of cold eyes could be seen under the black robes. What should we do? The storage ring of the Night Demon is in that kid's hands. One of them said. With our strength, we're no match for that kid. The other person said. However, the storage ring of the Night Demon King must not fall into the hands of outsiders. We must get it. The first person said. The only thing we can do now is to secretly keep an eye on them and send a message back to the Lord to send experts to kill them. The second person said. All right, that's the only way. The first person said. After saying that, the 2 figures flashed and disappeared without a trace. Lu Ming and the others had no idea that they were being watched. They searched the city lord mansion several times and found a lot of treasures. However, they didn't find any clues about the collusion between the Dark Eyes tribe and the 9 Extinction Heavenly King mansion or the treasures of the 9 Extinction Heavenly King mansion. I wonder if there's any clue in the storage ring of the Night Demon King? Lu Ming thought in his heart. After searching for 2 more rounds, there was still no clue. Lu Ming, Xiao Yu, and the others left the place. Not long after, they found a secret place. Lu Ming took out the storage ring of the Night Demon King and checked it. Lu Ming was stunned when he checked it out. The Night Demon King controlled the demonic Night Spring. Over the years, he had accumulated a lot of wealth. In the storage ring, there were all kinds of precious divine pills, divine herbs, and divine materials piled up like a mountain. There were all kinds of divine artifacts, and there were even a few supreme-grade divine artifacts. As for divine crystals, there were countless of them. In addition, Lu Ming also found a saint-grade divine technique. This saint-grade divine technique, when cultivated to the peak, could cultivate saint-grade divine power. However, the Night Demon King obviously didn't cultivate it to the highest realm. Otherwise, his strength would be stronger. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Of course, he had to cultivate this sacred grade technique. In addition, Lu Ming also found a large amount of demonic night spring. There were more than 500 caddies. Good fellow, I guess the entire demonic night spring of the demonic night mountain is here. No wonder I couldn't find it before. Lu Ming muttered. Then, he took out 20 caddies of demonic night spring and distributed it to Yu Linglong and Wu Zifeng, giving them 10 caddies each. 10 caddies of demonic night spring was enough for them to use for a long time. The two of them were naturally overjoyed and kept it. Lu Ming didn't give any to Autumn Moon. He would naturally give her as much as she wanted to use. There was no need for him to give it to her. What disappointed Lu Ming was that he didn't find any clues about the treasures of the 9 Extinction Heavenly King residence in the Night Demon King's storage ring. Could it be that the Night Demon King didn't leave any clues behind? Thinking of this, Lu Ming was a little disappointed. After that, he also checked the storage rings of the few demon masters, but he didn't find any clues. However, there were a few tokens in his hand. A total of 4 tokens. A Demon King token and 3 Demon Lord tokens. This was what Wuxia and the others were here to obtain. Demon King token, Demon Lord token. As long as you have this, you can join the Starry Camp. Wu Zifeng's eyes flashed, revealing a burning flame. Did we just come out of nowhere? Can we join the Starry Camp? Lu Ming asked curiously. Yes, as long as you aren't over the age limit and your cultivation is above the Heavenly God realm, you can join the Starry Camp as long as you have the Demon King token and Demon Lord token. Wu Zifeng said. After speaking, Wu Zifeng pondered for a while and continued, Brother Lu, if you want to investigate the treasures of the 9 Extinction Heavenly King residence, why don't you join the Starry Camp first? After all, the Starry Camp is close to the guards of the 9 Extinction Heavenly King residence. Maybe you can find some clues. Chapter 2975. Alright, let's join the Starry Camp first. Lu Ming nodded and made his decision. Originally, the purpose of his trip was to go to the 9 Extinction Heavenly King mansion. He came to the Demon Capital Mountain just to check it out. If he could not find any clues, he would go to the 9 Extinction Heavenly King mansion to investigate. Alright, let's go, Wu Zifeng said. Immediately, the 4 of them left the Demon Capital Mountain. After a long journey, they came to the core of the Chu Tian star field. They then took the Interstar Field teleportation formation and went to the 9 Extinction Heavenly King mansion. There was still a long distance between the Chu Tian star field and the 9 Extinction Heavenly King mansion. Even if they were to travel in a straight line, they were still separated by more than 10 star fields. It took them almost a year's time just to travel. Finally, they came to the territory near the 9 Extinction Heavenly King mansion. They then took the Starry Sky battleship and flew to the 9 Extinction Heavenly King mansion. Gradually, in the universe ahead, a huge galaxy appeared before Lu Ming and the others. Looking at the galaxy, Lu Ming and Qiu Yu were stunned. There were actually 3 stars in this galaxy. Normally, a galaxy would have 1 star. With 1 star as the core, the other planets would revolve around the star to form a galaxy. However, there were 3 stars in this galaxy. Huge planets were orbiting around the 3 stars in a strange orbit. Lu Ming swept his gaze across the area. There were at least over 30 planets revolving around the 3 stars. As the distance between them shortened, Lu Ming was even more shocked by what he saw. In the periphery of the galaxy, the planets were shining with different kinds of light. At the same time, there were many colossal ships patrolling around the galaxy. These colossal ships gave off an extremely dangerous feeling. Wu Zifeng and Yu Linglong looked calm. Obviously, they were used to it. These huge creatures are a kind of war machine. They are very terrifying. They can monitor the space around the galaxy. Once they find an enemy invading, they will launch a thunderous counterattack. It is said that even a peak divine king would be killed. Wu Zifeng explained. Lu Ming gasped a breath of cold air. Even a pinnacle god king could be killed. Such might was truly horrifying. Any one of them would be able to crush the Qin Tian star field. Let's go in. We'll go to that planet first. Wu Zifeng pointed at a fiery red planet at the outermost edge of the galaxy. Lu Ming controlled the starry sky battleship and flew towards the fiery red planet. Who is it? With a cold shout, a group of burly men in fiery red armor appeared on the outskirts of the planet, blocking Lu Ming's path. The aura emanating from his body made Lu Ming and the others apprehensive. Divine kings? There are divine kings among them. Lu Ming was secretly shocked. There were 12 burly men in the team. Lu Ming sensed that at least 3 of them were at the God King realm. The other 9 were most likely peak heaven gods. As expected of the 9 absolute heavenly kings' residents. These were only the outermost guards, but there were many divine kings who appeared casually. Their strength was truly unfathomable. I'm Wu Zifeng, a disciple of the Wu family. These are my friends. Wu Zifeng flew out of the starry sky battleship and took out an identity token. They are indeed disciples of the Wu family. Have they been to the 9 absolute heavenly kings' residence before? If not, leave your life aura. A burly man in the divine king realm said. Yes. Wu Zifeng nodded. Along the way, Wu Zifeng had also explained the procedure to enter the 9 absolute heavenly kings' residence. Lu Ming was not surprised. He went forward with Qiu Yu and left their life aura on a disc array. After leaving their life aura, the burly men in fiery red armor did not stop them and allowed Lu Ming and the others to enter the planet. After entering the planet, they flew towards the other side of the planet, towards the core of the galaxy. If they did not pass by this planet and directly entered from another space in the galaxy, they would be attacked by those war machines. Unless they had cultivation beyond the divine king realm, they would not be able to survive. They flew towards the core of the planet. Not long after, a huge planet appeared in front of them. This planet was the largest in the galaxy. Even if they were far away, they could feel that there was a surging energy on this planet. Around each planet, there was a halo that surrounded the planet. It looked very beautiful from afar. At the same time, Lu Ming felt that from all directions, even the universe's starry sky, energy was constantly being absorbed by this planet and converging on this planet. This planet has a great formation that can absorb energy from the outside world. Lu Ming whispered. Yes. This planet does have a great formation that is constantly absorbing energy from the universe and converging it on this planet, making the divine aura on this planet extremely rich. Wu Zifeng explained. He then smiled and said, This is the 9 absolute heavenly kings' residence. We have arrived. This is the 9 absolute heavenly kings' residence? The entire planet? Lu Ming was surprised. Yes. The entire planet is the 9 absolute heavenly kings' residence. Wu Zifeng nodded and explained, the entire planet is shrouded by a great formation. It's like a huge residence or a city. Lu Ming and Qiu Yu were amazed. This was really a big deal. As they got closer, Lu Ming finally found that the entire planet was shrouded by a huge light shield. However, in different directions of the planet, there would be gaps in the light shield like a door. Wu Zifeng told them that there were a total of 8 gaps in the entire planet, which were 8 doors, distributed in 8 directions of the planet. Each door was guarded by a large number of experts. With such a tight defense, there are still people who can steal treasures from the 9 absolute heavenly kings' residence. Lu Ming sneered. At this point, Lu Ming understood that if there was no cooperation from the 9 absolute heavenly kings' residence, it would be impossible for outsiders to steal the treasures. There must be internal personnel cooperating. They flew towards the nearest door. Around the door, there were a large number of experts guarding. Each of them was wearing armor and had a terrifying aura. Divine kings, they are all divine kings. From these people, Lu Ming felt a terrifying aura. This aura was the aura of a divine king. These guards were actually all god kings. Here, Lu Ming and Qiu Yu left behind a trace of life aura. That was why they were able to enter the door. As soon as he entered the door, Lu Ming could feel a strong divine aura surging toward him. What a strong divine aura! Lu Ming took a deep breath, feeling refreshed and invigorated. Cultivating here would definitely be much faster than cultivating in the outside world. Let's go. I will bring you to the Wu family's residence. Wu Zifeng said, taking the lead to fly forward. Lu Ming and the rest followed. Chapter 2976. This planet was the 9-extinction Heavenly King Mansion. Therefore, there were no cities on this planet. In the vast territory, all kinds of buildings could be built wherever one wanted to cultivate. Lu Ming and the rest flew high in the sky. They looked up and found that the entire planet had mountains, lakes, and rivers. Moreover, between these mountains, lakes, and rivers, there were all kinds of buildings. Your Wu family's headquarters is on this planet? Lu Ming asked curiously. You can say that, but it's not very accurate. Wu Zifeng said, in fact, in the 9-extinction Heavenly King Mansion, there are many big families with a long history, such as our Wu family and the Qin family where Qin Wuyo and the rest came from. These big families all have experts working in the 9-extinction Heavenly King Mansion. Therefore, their headquarters are all set up on this planet. However, most of the ancestral lands of the great worlds are not here. They are scattered in different galaxies. That is the foundation of the big families. For example, although our Wu family's headquarters is here, our ancestral land is in another galaxy. Most of our experts are gathered there. Lu Ming nodded and roughly understood. Soon, an endless mountain range appeared in front of them. On these mountains, there were countless buildings that stretched as far as the eye could see. This was the Wu family's headquarters in the 9-extinction Heavenly King Mansion. Let's go, you guys stay in the Wu family first. Wu Zifeng said. Everyone flew forward. Third young master. Greetings, third young master. Along the way, many people bowed to Wu Zifeng. Although Wu Zifeng's cultivation was not very high, he was the son of the current Wu family head. His status was very high. After entering the Wu family, Wu Zifeng soon arranged a courtyard for Lu Ming and Qiu Moon to stay. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming and Qiu Moon had been in the Wu family for 3 days. On this day, Wu Zifeng and Yu Linglong found Lu Ming. Brother Lu, there's something I want to ask of you. Wu Zifeng said. Brother Wu, if you have something to say, just say it. Lu Ming smiled. Brother Lu, are you selling that Devil Master token? Wu Zifeng said. Demon Lord token? What? Do you need it? If you need it, just take it. Autumn Moon and I only need 2 pieces. Lu Ming said. He had 3 Demon Master tokens and 1 Demon King token. He and Autumn Moon would only need 2 tokens to enter the Universal Camp. There was no point in keeping the extra 2 tokens. Originally, he wanted to give it to Wu Zifeng and Yu Linglong. However, their cultivation had not reached the Heavenly God realm, so they could not use it. It's like this. I have 2 cousins who also participated in the Starry Sky Camp assessment. However, they were unlucky and did not complete the assessment. Therefore, I would like to purchase 2 Demon Lord tokens from you. Wu Zifeng said. The Wu family also participated in the Starry Camp assessment? Why didn't I see him on Devil Capital Mountain? Lu Ming asked curiously. The Devil Capital Mountain assessment is just one of the many assessments in the Starry Camp. Actually, there are many geniuses who want to join the Starry Camp. The assessment of the Starry Camp is divided into many categories, and they are all randomly selected. Some people will be selected for one category, while others will be selected for another category. Those who go to the Devil Capital Mountain are only a small part of the Starry Camp assessment. Wu Zifeng explained. Lu Ming was enlightened. So that was the case. It seemed like Wu Zifeng's 2 cousins had participated in other assessments and did not complete the assessment. It's alright. The Demon Lord token is useless. If your cousins need it, just give it to them. Lu Ming said. Then I will thank you in advance. I will call my 2 cousins over. Wu Zifeng revealed a joyful expression and left Lu Ming's courtyard. Not long later, Wu Zifeng came over with 2 young men. The 2 young men looked like they were in their 20s. They were tall and sturdy and handsome. Wu Ming. Wu Yu. Greetings, Brother Lu. The 2 young men cupped their fists towards Lu Ming. Brother, you are too polite. I heard that you too need the Demon Lord token, so I have 2 extra here. Here. 2 Demon Lord tokens appeared in Lu Ming's hand. With a wave of his hand, they flew towards Wu Ming and Wu Yu. Wu Ming and Wu Yu reached out to receive them and revealed a joyful expression. Brother Lu, how much are the Demon Lord tokens? We will buy them. Wu Ming said. Since you're Zifeng's brothers, then you're my brothers. We're all brothers of the same family, so there's no need to be so polite. I have no use for these 2 Demon Lord tokens, so just take them. There's no need to buy them. Lu Ming said with a smile. Then this, how can we accept it? Wu Yu was a little hesitant. Brothers Wu, unless you look down on me, Lu Ming, and don't want to be friends with me, Lu Ming purposely sighed. Brother Lu, you have misunderstood. We have heard from Zifeng that Brother Lu is a peerless genius. We have long wanted to be friends with you. How can we look down on you? That's right. If that's the case, we will accept these Demon Lord tokens. Wu Ming and Wu Yu quickly said. Brothers Wu, when are you going to the Starry Camp? Lu Ming changed the topic and asked. There are 7 more days before we report to the Starry Camp. How about we go together then? Wu Ming said. That's what I want. Lu Ming smiled. They were all young people and soon became familiar with each other. The few of them took out wine and chatted while drinking. Lu Ming knew more about the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Palace. After 3 rounds of wine, Wu Zifeng and the others left. In the next few days, Lu Ming and Qiu Yu stayed in the Wu family. They did not know that there were 2 black-robed men wandering around the Wu family. What should we do? They have entered the Wu family. One of them said. The Wu family was extremely powerful. There was nothing they could do when Lu Ming and his crew entered the Wu family. It's impossible for them to stay in the Wu family forever. They have acquired the Demon Emperor badges and the Demon Lord tokens. They will most likely join the Starry Camp. We should prepare ourselves on the way to the Starry Camp and kill them all. The other black-robed man said coldly. The 2 observed for a while longer before leaving the place. 3 days were gone in the blink of an eye. On this day, Lu Ming was cultivating. In the past few days, he had been cultivating the Saint-grade divine technique he had obtained from the Dark Knight Devil King. Previously at the Demon Capital Mountain, Lu Ming had forcefully broken through to the 4th layer Heaven God realm, resulting in his foundation being unstable. It was impossible for Lu Ming to have a breakthrough in the following days. He could only strengthen his foundation before he could continue to break through to the next level. While he was polishing his foundation, Lu Ming could use this opportunity to practice his new magical technique. At that instant, a strange energy fluctuation was emitted from Lu Ming's wrist. The energy fluctuation came from Qiu. Qiu had always turned into a bracelet on Lu Ming's wrist. It had been asleep for a few hundred years, but there was finally some movement now. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Chapter 2977. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Qiu, who had not moved for hundreds of years, finally moved. He knew that Qiu had most likely refined the bronze that it had devoured in the ancient god world. After refining it for hundreds of years, what realm would Qiu's cultivation reach? Lu Ming was looking forward to it. At this moment, Qiu's bracelet glowed and flew out, turning into a metal ball that emitted a powerful energy wave. Qiu Moon was also startled. She came out of her room and looked at Qiu curiously. Young master, what's wrong? Qiu Moon asked. Qiu is about to evolve. Such a powerful energy wave. Lu Ming's expression changed slightly. The light emitted from Qiu's body became brighter and the energy wave that it emitted became stronger. Come, let's leave this place first. Lu Ming said. He waved his hand and put Qiu into a storage ring. Then he and Qiu Moon flew out of the Wu family. Lu Ming was a guest brought back by the 3rd young master of the Wu family, Wu Zifeng. Naturally, no one stopped them. Lu Ming left the Wu family smoothly. He sped up and found a secluded place to let Qiu out. Boom! As soon as Qiu was let out, it emitted a powerful energy wave. At the same time, an endless amount of divine qi gathered toward Qiu. Fortunately, this was the Jianghu Heavenly King residence. The divine qi was extremely dense, even denser than low-grade divine crystals. A large amount of divine qi was absorbed by Qiu. Qiu's aura rose at an astonishing speed. 3rd level Heavenly God, 4th level Heavenly God, 5th level Heavenly God, Soon, it reached 9th level heavenly god. This, Lu Ming and Qiu Moon were dumbfounded. They were stunned by the speed of improvement. The speed of improvement was faster than a rocket. However, it did not stop after reaching 9th level heavenly god. It continued to improve. At the next moment, Qiu's aura skyrocketed again. It broke through 9th level heavenly god and reached the half-step divine king realm. However, it was still not the limit. It was still improving. Could it break through to the divine king realm? Lu Ming was both shocked and expectant. After sleeping for several hundred years, he had managed to make a breakthrough from celestial god realm all the way to god king realm. If others were to hear of this, they would surely be shocked to death. However, Qiu had refined the mysterious bronze, so anything was possible. Qiu's body shone with resplendent light, flickering with a bronze luster. Its body seemed to be nurturing a terrifying energy that was charging towards the god king realm. Boom, boom. Intense rumbling sounds came from Qiu's body. An incomparably terrifying aura burst out from Qiu's body. A powerful pressure emanated from Qiu. Under this pressure, Lu Ming and Qiu could not help but retreat continuously. They only came to a stop after they had retreated more than 10,000 meters. Qiu really broke through the pressure of a god king. Lu Ming was delighted. Qiu's strength was already shocking. If it broke through to the divine king realm, it would be even more powerful. Now that Lu Ming had just arrived at the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Palace, he did not know what kind of danger he would face. Now that Qiu had broken through, it would become a powerful helper for Lu Ming. Boundless energy gathered towards Qiu. A few hours later, Qiu stopped absorbing the energy and its aura stabilized. Celestial God Realm. Lu Ming could feel that Qiu's cultivation was at Celestial God Realm. After retracting its aura, a pair of eyes and a mouth appeared on Qiu's round body as it looked at Lu Ming. Lu Ming, I have broken through to the divine king realm. Ha! Qiu laughed and pounced towards Lu Ming, landing on Lu Ming's shoulder. You can speak now? Lu Ming smiled. Yes, I can after breaking through to the divine king realm. Unfortunately, I am only at celestial god realm. Qiu let out a sigh. Lu Ming and Qiu were speechless. Qiu had only slept for a few hundred years and he had broken through to the divine king realm, yet he still looked unsatisfied. If others knew about this, wouldn't they be angered to death? Lu Ming, why are you only at celestial god realm? Isn't that too slow? How did you cultivate? Qiu spoke again, almost causing Lu Ming to suffer internal injuries. Lu Ming's eyelids twitched a few times as he said, Yes, you are awesome. All right, I will rely on you if I encounter an opponent that I cannot defeat in the future. Don't worry, leave it to me. I feel like I have endless energy. Qiu shouted as its round body bounced around in the air. Lu Ming was in a good mood as Qiu had broken through to the divine king realm. He took out a large amount of precious metals and fed them to Qiu. Qiu's eyes lit up when it saw the metals. It extended 2 of its tentacles and stuffed them into its mouth. It was beaming with joy. With Qiu's awakening, the following days were livelier. Soon 10 days had passed. On this day, Lu Ming and Qiu met up with Wu Ming and Wu Yu. They left the Wu family and headed towards the Starry Camp. The Starry Camp was also on the planet 9 Extinction Heavenly King residence. It was quite far away from the Wu family. The 4 of them quickly flew towards the Starry Camp. Lu Ming, wait. Just as everyone was flying over a mountain range, the quantifying character formula called out, looking rather anxious. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat and he immediately shouted, Wait! He pulled Qiu's hand and stopped. Brother Lu, what's wrong? Seeing Lu Ming suddenly stop, Wu Ming and Wu Yu also stopped and looked at Lu Ming in surprise. Lu Ming did not answer. He did not know what was going on either. He was asking Qiu. Old Qiu, what's wrong? Lu Ming asked. I don't know the details. I can sense that the energy in front is abnormal. Qiu said. Abnormal energy? Lu Ming was puzzled. Yes, the energy is abnormal. It's very powerful. It's like some kind of formation. Qiu said. Qiuqiu did not know much about formations, but he was extremely sensitive to energy. Formation? Lu Ming frowned. There was actually a formation in this barren mountain range. Could there be some kind of ruins in front? Lu Ming's imagination ran wild. There might be a formation in front. Lu Ming said to Wu Yu and Wu Ming. A formation? Could it be some kind of ruins? Wu Ming and Wu Yu thought so too. I don't know, but this formation is very powerful. I'm afraid it's not something we can break. Let's remember the location and find some experts to break it in the future. Let's bypass this place first. Lu Ming said. Wu Ming and Wu Yu nodded. This was a safer method. Then, everyone bypassed this area and moved forward in another direction. However, they did not fly far. In the barren mountain below, there was a flash of light. A group of people surrounded Lu Ming and the other three in the middle. This was a group of people wearing blood-rimmed robes with a wooden expression. However, each of them was emitting a cold, murderous intent. Chapter 2978. Who are you guys? Wu Yu and Wu Ming's faces changed drastically as they shouted. However, these people in blood-red robes did not even look at Wu Ming and Wu Yu. Their expressions were still stiff. You guys are able to sense our formation and go around it. Impressive, but you still have to die. One of the burly men spoke. Even when he spoke, his expression was still stiff. His voice was cold and emotionless. So, you guys are the ones who set up the formation. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. It seemed that the other party had been waiting for them here for a long time and had set up a large formation here. Fortunately, the measure character formula had sensed the unusual energy fluctuation and thus avoided the formation. Otherwise, once they walked into the formation set up by others, it would be really dangerous. Who were the other party? Lu Ming thought of Qin Huio and the others. In the Qin Tian Star field, Lu Ming had fought with Qin Huio and the others. He had suppressed a group of sky prides from the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Palace and offended a group of people. Those people had a reason to kill Lu Ming. However, when Lu Ming arrived, he did not see Qin Huio and the others. How did they know that Lu Ming was here? There was also Wu Shui and the others that he had met in the Devil Capital Mountain. Those people also had a reason to kill Lu Ming. However, they did not know that he had come to the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Palace. Could it be that I'm being followed? Lu Ming's heart suddenly moved as he thought of this possibility. This was the only way for the Wu family to get to the Starry Sky Camp. If the other party did not keep an eye on his whereabouts, how could they set up a formation here? Lu Ming thought of so many things in an instant. However, the other party had already made their move. Kill! 3 burly men with stiff expressions appeared in their hands. 2 rays of saber light slashed towards Lu Ming at the same time. Fast, extremely fast. They attacked at the same time without any delay. Their coordination was flawless. It was obvious that they had been trained for many years. If you want to kill our Wu family's friend, you'll have to go through us first. Wu Yu and Wu Ming shouted and attacked as well. The divine skills they cultivated were extremely unique. Once they attacked, 10,000 horses galloped. Hundreds of divine horses stepped on the void, wanting to trample the enemy to death. However, as the saber light slashed out, the divine horses were shattered one by one. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of mystical horses were annihilated. Wu Ming and Wu Yu were knocked back while vomiting mouthfuls of blood. Half-step divine king realm, which clan are you from? Wu Ming and Wu Yu roared at the same time. Both of them were 8th-layer heavenly gods, and their divine force was undoubtedly divine-grade divine force. However, their opponent was a half-step god king, which completely suppressed them. Let's go down and find the answer, said the 2 middle-aged men coldly. Once again, they attacked Lu Ming. The other people in blood-red robes surrounded them to prevent Lu Ming and the others from escaping. At this moment, Lu Ming let out an ancient god's roar. His body rapidly swelled up, transforming into an ancient god's body. Boom! Boom! His long spear shuddered and swept forward, colliding with the saber light. 2 explosions took place, and the 2 middle-aged men were sent flying. His strength is indeed shocking. Let's attack together and end this quickly. One of the men in blood-red robes said coldly. With a flicker he charged at Lu Ming. The others also attacked at the same time. Rays of saber light were dazzling and filled with murderous intent. It was a saber designed to kill. There was nothing fancy about it, but it was swift and powerful. "You guys, stay behind me." Lu Ming waved his hand, shrouding Qiu, Wu Ming, and Wu Yu with a god force. Following which, his long spear shuddered and fired rays of spear light. Dozens of giant spear shadows filled the sky, piercing in all directions. Explosions took place between the heavens and earth. There were 12 men in blood-red robes in total. All of them were half-step divine kings. Furthermore, they had all practiced divine skills designed to kill. Their strength was terrifying when they worked together. Even with Lu Ming's current strength, it was still difficult for him to fight them. Clang! A ray of saber light pierced through Lu Ming's attack and landed on his body. Sizzling sounds could be heard and sparks could be seen. A piece of green scale was cut open and fresh blood oozed out. The other party's attack was enough to break through Lu Ming's defense. "Get lost!" Lu Ming shouted and unleashed the divine dragon image technique. 7 9-clawed dragon images rushed towards a direction. At the same time, Lu Ming also rushed towards the same direction. Bang! Bang! A series of clashes broke out. A few of the men in blood-red robes were pushed back by the 9-clawed dragon images. Then, Lu Ming took the opportunity to break out of the encirclement. After breaking out of the encirclement, Lu Ming protected Qiu and the others behind him. He no longer had any scruples. "Since you want to kill me, then all of you shall stay here today." Lu Ming's eyes flashed with ruthlessness. He broke out of the encirclement not because he wanted to escape, but because he wanted to have a better opportunity to attack. "Star burst!" Lu Ming roared. Then, the divine power in Lu Ming's body poured into the long spear. A huge ray of spear light burst out from the long spear and pierced towards the 12 men in blood-red robes. "Go around them!" One of the men in blood-red robes shouted coldly. The 12 men in blood-red robes used a strange technique and dodged the attack of the spear light. They went around the spear light from both sides. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. How could the starburst move be so easily avoided? "Explode!" Lu Ming whispered. Boom! The huge spear light suddenly exploded and turned into countless waves of energy that swept in all directions. It was like a stormy sea, crushing the 12 men in blood-red robes. Not good. The 12 men in blood-red robes were shocked and retreated frantically. However, they were still hit by the powerful waves of energy and coughed up blood. They were seriously injured. "Kill!" Lu Ming took the opportunity to attack. However, at this moment, Lu Ming's face changed drastically. He felt a terrifying pressure coming from the sky. Then, an incomparably powerful force pressed down on Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not care about killing his opponents. He waved his spear and swept it towards the sky. At this moment, he realized that there was a ray of saber light in the sky that was slashing towards him. Boom! The ray of saber light struck the long spear. In an instant, Lu Ming's face changed. The power of this ray of saber light was terrifying and unfathomable. Lu Ming was shocked and his body retreated. The long spear in his hand was constantly vibrating and he almost lost his grip on it. "Divine King!" Lu Ming whispered and looked at the sky. There was another man in blood-red robes in the sky. He looked to be in his 60s. He stepped on the void and came down from the sky. This man was a Divine King expert. The man in blood-red robes stared at Lu Ming in astonishment. "I've received news that a 4th-layer Heaven God Realm cultivator's strength is monstrous. I didn't believe it at first, so I asked them to give it a try. Who would have thought that your strength is even more terrifying than I imagined?" The man exclaimed. This man in the blood-lined robe was much more emotional than the other men in blood-lined robes. Chapter 2979. Men of Sacrifice, Your Men of Sacrifice. Suddenly, Wu Ming thought of something and his face turned ugly. "So what if you can see it?" The Divine King in blood-red robes sneered coldly. "Which family are you from?" "We're the core disciples of the Wu family. You dare to kill us, Are you trying to start a war with the Wu family? Wu Yu shouted. Who knows who killed you if I kill all of you? The other party sneered. You, Wu Ming and Wu Yu's face turned pale with despair. The other party even sent a divine king men of sacrifice. They would definitely die today. 12 half-step divine kings and 1 divine king. It's a sure thing to kill us heavenly gods. Since we're going to die, can you tell me who sent you? Lu Ming pretended to be desperate and asked. Kid, don't try to trick us, we won't tell you. A cold voice was heard. It did not come from the God King realm man in a blood-red robe, but from behind Lu Ming. Lu Ming, Qiu Autumn Moon, Wu Ming and Wu Yu's expression changed and they quickly turned around. Unknowingly, another man in a blood-red robe appeared behind them. He was a skinny middle-aged man, but the aura he emitted was extremely terrifying. Divine King. Another Divine King. The other party sent out 2 Divine Kings. Wu Ming and Wu Yu were in despair. The other party's plan was flawless. They sent out 2 Divine Kings. Moreover, they didn't appear at once. They sent out 1 Divine King first while the other one hid in the dark to check the situation. After making sure that there was no problem, the other Divine King appeared. 2 Divine Kings surrounded them from the front and back. In addition, there were 12 half-step Divine King experts. With such a lineup, Lu Ming and the others were doomed. Lu Ming also pretended to look miserable. He gave a long sigh and said, 2 Divine Kings. What a big deal. Are there any more? Come out together. We're more than enough to kill you, the skinny middle-aged man said. Since we're going to die, can you tell me why you want to kill me? Is it for revenge or something on me? Lu Ming asked again. He wanted to take the opportunity to get some clues from the other party. However, the 2 Divine Kings remained expressionless and didn't say anything. They didn't reveal any information. However, Lu Ming caught the expressions of the few half-step Divine King realm men in blood-red robes. When Lu Ming asked this question, several half-step Divine King realm men in blood-red robes instinctively glanced at the storage ring on Lu Ming's finger. He wasn't seeking revenge. He wanted to snatch something from Lu Ming. In an instant, Lu Ming made a judgment. What was it? Lu Ming's mind raced. Don't waste your breath on him. Let's finish the mission first. Behind him, the skinny middle-aged man shouted coldly, emitting a terrifying killing intent. A terrifying saber light slashed towards Lu Ming. Qiu, I'll leave it to you. Lu Ming waved his hand and Qiu flew behind him. 2 First Heaven King God Realm guys. Leave it to me. Qiu's voice resounded in Lu Ming's mind. Then, his body swelled, turning into a giant metal ball and dashing over. The saber light was shattered by Qiu's attack. His body didn't stop, rushing towards the skinny middle-aged man. The skinny middle-aged man was shocked. He didn't expect that his attack would be shattered by a metal ball. Die! Qiu shouted. His giant body was like a mountain pressing down on the skinny middle-aged man. Get lost! The skinny middle-aged man reacted, holding his saber with both hands and slashing. The saber slashed on Qiu's body. However, it didn't split Qiu's body as he had expected. Instead, his body shook violently, retreating continuously. His arms were numb. Die! Qiu extended 2 tentacles, turning them into 2 sabers, slashing towards the skinny middle-aged man. In a flash, he had slashed hundreds of times. The skinny middle-aged man tried his best to fight back. Dong, thong. The 2 continued to clash. However, the skinny middle-aged man was no match for Qiu. He tried his best to block a few attacks, but Qiu slashed him horizontally, cutting him in half. He almost died. Damn it. How is this possible? At this moment, the Divine King in front of Lu Ming shouted as if he had just woken up from a dream. Kill that kid. The skinny middle-aged man was cut in half by Qiu, but he didn't die. He shouted loudly. Die! The Divine King in front of Lu Ming shouted and attacked. A terrifying saber light slashed towards Lu Ming. Moon slashing. Lu Ming waved his long spear, using all of his strength to attack. Lu Ming felt like he was hit by an immemorial mountain. His body shook violently. His 100-meter-tall body was pushed back continuously. He felt his chi and blood tumbling in his body. He spat out a mouthful of blood. A divine king was much stronger than a heavenly god and a half-step divine king. With Lu Ming's current cultivation, he was still no match for a divine king. As soon as Lu Ming retreated, Qiuqiu Autumn Moon, Wu Ming and Wu Yu were exposed. "I'll kill the three of you first." The other party shouted coldly and slashed with his saber. A terrifying saber light that was blood-red slashed towards Qiuqiu Autumn Moon and the other two. If they were hit, with Qiu Yu and the other two's cultivation, they would definitely die. "Qiuqiu," Lu Ming shouted. "Leave it to me." Qiuqiu opened his mouth. Then his round body emitted streaks of lightning. Asterisk zap, zap. Asterisk a bolt of lightning as thick as an arm shot towards the divine king in front of Lu Ming. The speed of the lightning was extremely fast. In a flash it reached the other party's saber light. With a puff, the other party's saber light was extinguished. The lightning continued to strike the other party's body. A shrill scream was heard. Then there was no sound. When the lightning disappeared, only a charred corpse could be seen floating in the air without any signs of life. In the next moment, the charred corpse fell to the ground. A divine king was killed just like that. At this moment, the skinny man and the other men in blood-red robes were shocked. To kill a divine king in one move, what kind of cultivation was that? "Run!" The skinny man shouted. Half of his body retreated in an attempt to escape. "Did I say you could leave?" Qiuqiu's voice was heard as he slashed with his saber. This saber strike carried traces of lightning. The skinny man screamed. He followed in the footsteps of the previous divine king and was turned into a charred corpse. Another divine king was killed. The 12 half-step divine king men in blood-red robes were shocked. They fled in all directions. "Trying to escape? Stay here." Lu Ming shouted coldly. He used the 9 Heavens Garuda technique and chased after the other party. At the same time, Qiuqiu also chased after them. He opened his mouth and shot out streaks of lightning like an electric net. Chapter 2980. Asterisk zap zap asterisk. The lightning that Qiuqiu spat out was terrifyingly powerful as it charged forward like an electric net. 3 of the men in blood-red robes were struck by the lightning and their bodies turned into ashes. At the same time, Lu Ming waved his spear and shot out thousands of spear lights towards the men in blood-red robes who were trying to escape. Then, Qiuqiu arrived and killed a few more of them. At this moment, Wu Ming and Wu Yu were completely dumbfounded. The tide of the battle had turned too quickly. Initially, they were in despair. The other party had sent out 12 half-step divine king experts and 2 divine king experts. They were just a bunch of heavenly god realm rookies. They were definitely going to die if they tried to kill them with such a lineup. They never expected that Lu Ming would throw out a metal ball that was so powerful that it killed the 2 divine kings in a few moves. A divine king metallic life form. Wu Ming and Wu Yu muttered, unable to calm down. "Qiuqiu, keep them alive." At this moment, Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Qiuqiu. "All right." Qiuqiu replied. Its 2 tentacles turned into 2 large hammers and rushed towards one of the men in blood-red robes and smashed down. Although the man in blood-red robes tried his best to resist, how could he withstand Qiuqiu's power with his strength? Even a divine king at the same level couldn't withstand Qiuqiu's attack. Asterisk boom. Asterisk the man in the blood-red robe was smashed into the ground like a meteor, causing a mountain to collapse. A huge crater appeared in the ground, and the man lay in the crater, twitching and coughing up mouthfuls of blood. He was half dead, unable to move. Then, Qiuqiu rushed towards another man in blood-red robes. With Lu Ming blocking it and Qiuqiu's astonishing speed, those men in blood-red robes couldn't escape at all. Asterisk dong. Asterisk dong. Asterisk Qiuqiu hammered the remaining 6 men in blood-red robes one by one. They were all embedded in the ground, half dead. 12 half-step divine kings and 2 divine kings were dealt with. How was it? Lu Ming, I'm awesome, right? Qiuqiu's body shrunk and flew towards Lu Ming, looking like he was asking for credit. Amazing, absolutely amazing. Lu Ming gasped in admiration. He was truly in admiration. Qiuqiu's battle prowess was becoming more and more astonishing. Those who could reach the Divine King realm were all geniuses. Their strength would not be weak. However, the other two god kings were crushed by Qiuqiu, unable to retaliate at all. Lu Ming estimated that Qiuqiu's competence was enough to resist a warrior of the second sky of King God realm. If it used all of its powers, it could resist a warrior of the third sky of King God realm. One should know that it was much harder for a divine king to fight someone of a higher cultivation level than a heavenly god, true god, or empty god. There were many Empyrean gods and true gods who were capable of fighting above their level of power, but once they reached the God King level, they would no longer be able to do so. After chatting with Qiuqiu for a while, Lu Ming's body shrunk to the size of a normal person. He took a step forward and landed beside a person in a blood-rimmed robe. "Tell me who sent you. Tell me and I'll spare your life." Lu Ming said. "If you want to kill me, then kill me. Don't even think about getting a single word out of me." The other party said coldly. "Aren't you afraid of death?" Lu Ming's voice was even colder. "If you want to kill me, then kill me." The other party was expressionless and fearless. Lu Ming was straightforward. With a flick of his finger, a ray of spear light shot out and pierced the other party's forehead, killing him instantly. Then, with a flash of his body, he appeared beside the next person in a blood-rimmed robe. "Tell me who sent you?" Lu Ming continued to ask. The other party had seen everything that had happened. However, there was no fear in his eyes. With a wooden expression, he said, "If you want to kill me, then kill me. Don't even think about getting a single word out of me." His answer was exactly the same as the previous person. "Do you think that I don't have a way to deal with you if you don't answer me?" Lu Ming harumphed coldly. His divine power surged out and restrained the other party. Then he performed a soul-searching technique to find the answer from the other party's soul. However, when Lu Ming's spiritual consciousness approached the other party's soul suddenly glowed and emitted a powerful fluctuation. "Not good." Lu Ming was shocked. He quickly withdrew his spiritual consciousness. The moment he did so, the other party's head exploded like a watermelon. Self-destruct. Lu Ming's face was gloomy. There was a self-destruct restriction placed in the other party's soul. Once the other party's soul got close, the other party's soul would self-destruct. "Lu Ming, it's useless. These are men of sacrifice trained by the big families. There's a self-destruct restriction placed in their souls. It's impossible to search their souls for information." At this moment, Wu Ming, Wu Yu, and Qiu Yu flew over. Wu Ming said, "Men of sacrifice trained by the big families? Which big families train men of sacrifice?" Lu Ming asked. "Some of the big families in the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Mansion have trained men of sacrifice to carry out some shady missions secretly. Even our Wu family has them." Wu Ming said, "That's right. These men of sacrifice are very secretive. It's impossible to identify which family they belong to." Wu Yu added, "Let's try again." Lu Ming was still unwilling to give up. He interrogated the remaining 4 men in blood-edge robes. However, the other party did not say a word. Once he searched their souls, the other party's soul would explode. In the end, Lu Ming had no choice but to finish off the remaining men in blood-edge robes. "What a pity!" Lu Ming sighed softly. He had a feeling that these men of sacrifice were here for something on him. Lu Ming speculated that it might be the Dark Knight Demon King's storage ring. If they're really here for the Dark Knight Demon King's storage ring, it's very likely to be related to the theft of the 9 Extinction Divine Crystal. There might be clues in the Dark Knight Demon King's storage ring, so the other party wants to snatch it back. Lu Ming kept thinking, but he had more doubts. Because he had already checked the Dark Knight Demon King's storage ring and found nothing. Originally, he wanted to find out who sent these men of sacrifice to kill him. If he could find the person behind the scenes, he might be able to find the real culprit behind the theft of the 9 Extinction Divine Crystal. Unfortunately, the clues were cut off. It seems like I have to be more careful in the future. This time, it's all thanks to Qiuqiu. Lu Ming secretly rejoiced in his heart. He had to admit that his luck was not bad. Fortunately, Qiuqiu had woken up before this and his strength had greatly improved. Otherwise, he would be in danger. Lu Ming, let's hurry to the Starry Camp. There are many experts in the Starry Camp. No force would dare to send people to commit murder in the Starry Camp. Wu Ming said. All right. Lu Ming nodded. Then, the four of them set off for the Starry Camp. Not long after Lu Ming and the other three left, a few men in black robes appeared. When the men in black robes saw the corpses on the ground, they were stunned. What happened? What is going on? Even the Divine King was killed. That kid is definitely not that strong. One of the men in black robes roared. Chapter 2981. The two black-robed men were shocked by the scene in front of them. Could it be that the Wu family secretly sent experts to protect them? The other black-robed man guessed. Yes, that must be it. Damn the Wu family. One of the black-robed men roared. They thought that the Wu family secretly sent experts to protect Lu Ming and the rest. That was why the men of sacrifice they sent out were all wiped out. It's too late to send experts to kill them now. What should we do? Once they enter the Starry Camp, we won't be able to do anything. One of the black-robed men said. We can only report the situation to our superiors and wait for the Lord to make a decision. However, even if he enters the Starry Camp, he won't be safe. Let's go. With a flash, the few black-robed men disappeared without a trace. Along the way, Lu Ming and the rest were even more careful. Luckily, they didn't encounter any danger. Not long after, they finally arrived at the Starry Camp. This is the Starry Camp? Lu Ming looked at the barren land in front of him and was stunned. This is all an illusion. There's a large formation ahead. Let's continue. Wu Ming said. The four of them continued to move forward and stepped into the barren land. At this moment, the space around Lu Ming and the rest suddenly rippled. Then, two white-haired old men suddenly appeared. This is the Starry Camp. What are you here for? One of the old men said. Seniors, we are here to join the Starry Camp. Wu Ming bowed respectfully. Oh, do you have proof? The old man who spoke before continued. Seniors, please take a look. Then, Lu Ming and the rest took out the Demon King token and Demon Lord token. One of the old men waved his hand and kept the token. After checking it carefully, he said, This is the proof for one of the tests. Congratulations on joining the Starry Camp. Then he waved his hand and the space rippled. Then, a light door appeared out of nowhere. Go in. The two old men waved their hands. Thank you, seniors. Lu Ming and the rest cupped their fists and stepped into the light door. After stepping into the light door, Lu Ming and the rest arrived at a square. What a dense divine aura! As soon as he entered, Lu Ming felt that the divine qi here was much richer than outside. Then Lu Ming looked at him. Quite a few people had already gathered in the square. At a glance, there were at least a few hundred people. Looks like we're late. Everyone else has arrived. Wu said. It was obvious that these people were like Lu Ming and the rest, new recruits to the Starry Sky Camp. It's them. Lu Ming glanced around and saw some familiar faces. For example, the blood-robed youth, Wu Shui, and the others he had met on the Devil Capital Mountain. Kid, it's you. Wu Shui and the others also saw Lu Ming and looked over with unfriendly gazes. We are really fated to meet here again. Lu Ming smiled. Hee, it's fate. Kid, let's wait and see. Wu Shui's senior brother, the blood-soaked youth, said coldly. You're still lacking. Lu Ming said disdainfully. Arrogant. Wu Shui's senior brother shouted coldly as his eyes were filled with killing intent. He couldn't fight here and he was indeed not Lu Ming's opponent. However, this was the Starry Sky Camp and many of his senior brothers were in the camp. Lu Ming would be in trouble in the future. Lu Ming smiled faintly and couldn't be bothered with these people. He walked to the side with Qiu Yu, Wu Ming, and Wu Yu and waited quietly. Another hour passed, and another dozen or so people arrived one after another. At this moment, a shadow flashed in the air and a burly man in linen clothes appeared. Welcome to the Starry Sky Camp. Now, follow me. I will arrange your accommodations. The burly man said. Thank you, senior. Someone cupped his fist. The burly man in linen clothes smiled meaningfully and turned around to leave. The rest followed. After flying across the square, a huge mountain appeared in front of them. This mountain took up a large area and was very tall. It was at least a few 100,000 feet tall. Looking from afar, one could see the mountain with many buildings. From afar, the burly man in linen clothes landed on the ground. The rest followed and landed on the ground as well. With that mountain as the center, the core area of the Starry Sky Camp is 100,000 miles away. In the future, you will cultivate and rest within that area. The burly man in linen clothes said. Many people nodded their heads. Also, let me tell you, the new members are not allowed to fly within that area. They can only walk. Do you understand? The burly man in linen clothes said. Not allowed to fly? Is there a flight restriction array in there? Someone asked. No, there is no flight restriction array. Even an empty god can fly freely. However, you are not allowed to fly. That is the rule. The burly man in linen clothes paused and sneered. Once someone breaks the rule, he will be expelled from the Starry Sky Camp and will never be recruited again. Expelled from the Starry Sky Camp forever. Many people's faces changed. There was a rule in the Taishu dynasty. In order to enter the core area of the Taishu dynasty to cultivate, one must be recommended by the Starry Sky Camp. In the future, if one wanted to climb up the ranks and gain fame in the Taishu dynasty, one must pass the step. If they were expelled from the Starry Sky Camp, they would lose the opportunity to cultivate in the core area of the Taishu dynasty. Not only that, it would be difficult for them to gain fame in the Taishu dynasty no matter how high their cultivation was. It was not easy for them to join the Starry Sky Camp. They would not allow themselves to be expelled. Not allowed to fly. Many people firmly remembered this rule in their hearts. All right, come with me, the burly man in linen clothes said and walked forward. Although they could not fly and could only walk, with their cultivation, they were still as fast as lightning. After a while, they entered the range of the mountain. The closer they got to the mountain, the thicker the divine chi became. There was even a mysterious fluctuation in the air that could clear one's mind and make one's mind more active. Here, I can feel that the speed of comprehending divine skills and practicing secret arts is much faster. Me too. It's said that the mountain peak is called Star Peak. At the peak of Star Peak, there's a supreme treasure that constantly emits a mysterious fluctuation. Under the influence of this fluctuation, even one's comprehension ability becomes much stronger. Sure enough, it's true. Some people discussed softly with excitement on their faces. I hope that you will be able to laugh later. The burly man in linen clothes laughed. What do you mean? Many people looked at each other after hearing what the burly man in linen clothes said. The burly man in linen clothes did not reply and continued to move forward. Soon, they reached the foot of the mountain. Bush. At this moment, the sound of something breaking through the air could be heard above their heads. A few youths had flown over their heads. More newcomers. Time really flies. The youths were chatting. Chapter 2982. Looking at the young men flying above their heads, many of them were puzzled. Senior, how can they fly? A young man asked curiously. They can fly because they live on top of it. The burly man pointed at the buildings on top of the mountain. There were some buildings built from the waste of the mountain. There were grand palaces and elegant courtyards. What do you mean by living on top of it? Are we not living on top of it? Many of the young men were puzzled. Correct. You are indeed not living on top of it because you are not qualified. The burly man said. If we are not qualified, then where are we staying? Someone asked. Follow me. The burly man did not answer. He smiled and continued to move forward. Everyone was curious and followed closely behind him. After they went over a few hills, a foul smell assaulted their noses. So smelly. Especially some of the girls, they frowned and showed a disgusted expression. You all will live there. The burly man pointed ahead. Everyone looked over. There was a spacious land in front of them. There were many small houses that were built simply with wood. Most importantly, there was a pasture around these wooden houses. There were many strange, desolate beasts that were being reared there. The source of the foul smell was the mixture of the desolate beasts' feces and urine. What do you mean we will live in such a place? Impossible, I will not live in such a place. Is such a rubbish place for humans to live in? A few of the girls shrieked. It's fine if you don't want to. The burly man said coldly. A few of the girls shut their mouths. However, they looked around and were obviously thinking of a solution. Let me tell you. You have to stay here even if you don't want to. You cannot stay anywhere else. This is the rule. If you violate it, you will be expelled from the interstellar camp forever. The burly man said coldly. Some of the girls turned pale and some of the men frowned. Some people did indeed have the same idea earlier. They might as well not stay here and find a clean place to cultivate. However, they had to stay. This was the rule. Those who could join the interstellar camp were all absolute geniuses that possessed divine-grade divine power. In the Qin star field, they were equivalent to divine sons. 90% of them were from big factions or clans. When had they ever stayed in such a place? Many people frowned. They didn't expect that they would have to stay in such a place after coming to the starry camp. Moreover, none of the people who had joined the starry camp in the past had said that there was such a rule. Also, I'm warning you all. The rules of the starry camp must not be leaked. If you do, you will be expelled from the starry camp and will never be allowed to enter again. The burly man said again. Many of the young women had pale faces, and many of them had bitter mouths. Senior, what do I have to do to be able to live there? Someone pointed to the buildings on the mountain peak and asked. The buildings here were at the foot of the mountain. Compared to the buildings halfway up the mountain, the difference was like heaven and earth. If you want to live there, it's very simple. It's a challenge. As long as you can defeat the people up there, you will be able to replace them. You will be able to live up there and cultivate. At the same time, you will be able to fly freely in this region. The burly man in sackcloth said. This made many people's eyes burn with passion. Challenge. As long as one defeated the person who lived above him, they would be able to replace him. Obviously, not only was the environment of the buildings at the top of the mountain much better than at the foot of the mountain, the closer one was to the top of the mountain, the greater the influence of the treasures at the top of the star peak, and the better one's comprehension ability. On top of that, they would be able to fly. They could clearly fly, but they couldn't. They could only watch as others looked at them from above. That feeling was indescribable. I want a challenge. A young woman shouted, emitting a powerful aura from her body. 8th layer Heavenly God Realm. This woman was an 8th layer Heavenly God Realm cultivator, and she was in control of divine-grade divine power. If she was in the Qin starfield, she would be an unrivaled genius. However, it was very normal here. Everyone's expression was calm, and there was no surprise at all. In the 9 Extinction Heavenly King residence, the basic requirement to be called a genius was to be in control of divine-grade divine power. Those who had not mastered divine-grade divine power could not be called geniuses. I want a challenge too. Me too. Who would want to live in such a god-forsaken place? Many people shouted. These people were all geniuses in the outside world, people who were 1 in a billion. They were all full of confidence in themselves. You can't challenge them yet. You have to stay in those buildings for 7 days. You can only challenge them after 7 days. The burly man in sackcloth said coldly. What do you mean by we have to stay for 7 days? What kind of rule is that? No, I don't want to stay. Senior, can you give me a way out? I'll challenge them and stay there after 7 days. Many people wailed. You don't want to stay? Sure, please go back and stay in your palace's courtyard. The burly man in sackcloth said indifferently, then stepped forward. Those who were wailing could only sigh. They could only endure it for now. Don't talk nonsense. Come with me. Each of you will choose a room within an incense's time. If you don't choose a room by then, I'll personally send you home. The burly man in sackcloth said. Everyone sighed, and could only follow and start choosing their rooms. Some people wanted to choose the rooms that were further away from the ranch and had a weaker stench, but they were disappointed. These rooms were built in the middle of the ranch, and they were all the same. Every single one of them smelled terrible. Autumn Moon, are you used to it? Lu Ming looked at Autumn Moon. Young master, don't worry. It's not like Autumn Moon hasn't suffered before. Autumn Moon smiled faintly. Well, then choose a room. 7 days later, I'll bring you to stay there. Lu Ming smiled. After that, Lu Ming, Autumn Moon, Wu Ming, Wu Yu, and the others all chose a room. After an incense's time, everyone found a room and stayed there. The burly man in sackcloth chuckled and left. Lu Ming walked into the room. The room was very simple. There was only a bed and a wooden table. In the room, a stench came out. Even with Lu Ming's temperament, he couldn't help but frown. Letting out a breath, Lu Ming sat cross-legged and quietly cultivated. 7 days would soon pass, and it didn't matter. However, he could endure it, but some people couldn't. Before a day was up, someone roared. Damn it, what the hell is this place? I'll definitely kill my way up there in 7 days. I'll kill my way up there too. Some people roared, and their voices echoed in the area. Lu Ming smiled faintly. It seemed that there were many people who had the same thoughts as him. However, was it really that easy to kill their way up there? Lu Ming felt that it wouldn't be that easy. The reason for that was because he had observed earlier that before they had moved in, there were many such wooden houses that had been occupied. Those people obviously joined the Starry Camp in the past. Those who joined in the past still stayed here. It was obvious that it wouldn't be easy to kill their way up there. Chapter 2983. There were originally many wooden houses here that had people living in them. That meant many of the heavenly geniuses who had entered the Starry Sky Camp were still living here. Those heavenly geniuses who were able to enter the Starry Sky Camp weren't weak at all. If it was so easy to kill their way up, they would have already done so. 7 days passed in the blink of an eye. When the 8th day arrived, several voices echoed in the area. Kill our way up. I want to live up there. I've had enough of this place. Following which, many figures followed the mountain path and rushed towards the star peak. Brother Lu, Miss Autumn Moon, let's go take a look together. Wu Ming and Wu Yu walked over. All right. Lu Ming nodded. Together with Miss Autumn Moon, they rushed up the mountain path. These newcomers are going up to challenge us. Several figures began to walk out of the wooden houses. Those people were the old members of the Starry Sky Camp. They've only just joined, but each one of them thinks they're infallible. They don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Let's go take a look. It's been a long time since the Starry Sky Camp was this lively. A few of the old members of the Starry Sky Camp laughed and followed them up the mountain. Star Peak was extremely tall. Even halfway up the mountain, it was still over 100,000 meters tall. But to Lu Ming and the others, that was nothing. They quickly arrived at the halfway point. There were many courtyards built at the halfway point. The divine qi here was dense, and the fragrance of flowers filled their nostrils. It was like heaven and earth compared to the foot of the mountain. Many people's gazes became even more fiery. They swore that they would definitely seize a courtyard this time. Everyone in the courtyard, scram out here. A robust youth was the most impatient. He directly appeared in front of a courtyard and roared. Who's shouting? You're courting death. A cold voice sounded out from the courtyard. Then, the door opened and a youth with a grim expression walked out. The callous youth's gaze swept over Lu Ming and the others. His gaze landed on the robust youth and he disdainfully said, Newcomer. So what if I'm a newcomer? Let me tell you, I've taken a fancy to your courtyard. I challenge you right now. Do you dare accept my challenge? If you don't, then scram. The muscular young man shouted with a confident look on his face. You want to challenge me? Good. Go ahead. If you can defeat me, this monastery is yours. The cold-looking young man looked relaxed, as if he didn't put the burly young man in his eyes at all. Arrogant. Heaven-shaking divine elephant, suppress. The burly young man shouted as a powerful aura erupted from his body. 8th level celestial god. The muscular young man's cultivation had reached the 8th layer heaven god realm. Needless to say, his god force was at the divine level too. Divine power burst forth. As the burly young man pushed out his palms, a giant elephant condensed. It was 10,000 meters tall and stood between the heavens and the earth. It trampled towards the cold young man. It's just a facade. The grim young man said coldly. His figure suddenly flashed and rushed out like a goshawk. Chi Lathan, the cold-looking youth, waved his hand and clawed out. His claws were very small compared to the giant elephant, but when his sharp claws grabbed the giant elephant, they burst forth with terrifying power. Touch the gigantic elephant's body directly exploded. How is this possible? The burly youth was shocked. He didn't expect that his ultimate move would be broken so easily. Shwa after the cold young man defeated the giant elephant, he didn't stop moving. In a flash, he appeared above the burly young man's head and clawed down. The burly young man's expression changed drastically. He punched out with all his strength, and the sound of elephant trumpeting could be heard. He wanted to condense another giant elephant to fight against the cold young man. However, the cold young man's claws were incomparably sharp. They penetrated downwards, and the giant elephant couldn't be condensed. Moreover, the burly young man's defense was as fragile as tofu in front of the cold young man. The cold young man's claws heavily clawed at the burly young man's shoulder. The burly young man cried out in pain. The bones in his shoulder were broken, and blood splattered everywhere. Then, the cold young man swung his hand and smashed the burly young man heavily onto the ground. Boom! The ground shook, and the burly young man cried out in pain. His body bounced up like a rubber ball before falling down. He laid on the ground, twitching non-stop. He was severely injured. Simony people sucked in a cold breath. The burly young man's fighting strength was definitely not weak. He was an 8th-layer heavenly god. He was definitely above average among the newcomers. However, he couldn't even withstand a single blow from the cold young man. 9th-layer heavenly god. His cultivation has already reached the 9th-layer heavenly god. Don't tell me that the people living in these villas are all 9th-layer heavenly gods? Thinking of this, many people's expression became incomparably ugly. If the people living here were all 9th-layer heavenly gods, then those below the 9th layer wouldn't be able to challenge them. Wouldn't that mean that they would have to live at the foot of the mountain for a long time? Thinking of the stench at the foot of the mountain, many people felt nauseous and almost vomited. How could this be? Damn it! Many people roared, their hearts turning cold. 9th layer heavenly god. Is it really that simple? How naive! Some of the older members sneered. Who else wants to challenge me, Linging? Hurry up and make your move. I don't have that much time to waste with you. The cold young man swept his gaze across the crowd and said coldly. His name was Linging. He really lived up to his name. Many people looked at each other, weighing their own strength. In the end, they shook their heads helplessly. If their strength couldn't surpass the sturdy young man, they would only be looking for trouble. I'll go. At this moment, a sonorous voice resounded. A black-robed young man stepped out. This person carried a long sword on his back, like an unsheathed divine sword. It's him. Lu Ming's eyes moved. He recognized this person. He was one of the 4 9th-layer heavenly gods who attacked the Dark Knight Devil King in the Devil Capital Mountain. He was a sword cultivator. It's Xue Dong. He's going to make his move. Xue Dong is a 9th-layer heavenly god and a sword cultivator. He has a chance to defeat his opponent. Seeing Xue Dong make his move, some people's eyes lit up. If Xue Dong could defeat his opponent, it would give them a lot of hope. An ordinary 9th-layer heavenly god wants to defeat Linging? What wishful thinking. One of the older members sneered. They're both 9th-layer heavenly gods. Xue Dong is also a sword cultivator known for his offensive strength. How do you know that Xue Dong can't defeat Linging? A new member said unhappily. Ignorant. Just watch and you'll know. The older member said disdainfully. Make your move. Use your strongest move. Otherwise, you won't have a chance when I make my move. Linging said coldly. Even though he was facing Xue Dong, his face was still filled with disdain. Kung Xuedong was very straightforward. He made his move right away. Unsheathing his long sword, a bright and sharp sword light streaked across the void, slashing at Leng Ying. Chapter 2984. Xuedong's sword was extremely sharp. It slashed across the void, aiming for Leng Ying's chest. However, in the face of Xuedong's terrifying attack, Leng Ying's expression remained relaxed. He stretched out a hand and clawed out. Chi-chi, a sharp sound broke through the air. Leng Ying's claw turned into a divine eagle's claw, grabbing Xuedong's sword. Clang! Sparks flew, the divine eagle screeched, and the sword light vibrated. In the next moment, Xuedong's sword light shattered. A figure quickly retreated 100 meters before stabilizing himself. The person who retreated was Xuedong, while Leng Ying remained motionless. Many people were shocked. How could this be? Xuedong and Leng Ying were both 9th-level heavenly gods, and Xuedong was a sword cultivator who specialized in offense. How could he be pushed back by Leng Ying? Xuedong's eyes turned serious. His aura became stronger, and sword intent filled the air. Countless tiny sword chi wandered around him. Lone Star Destruction Sword. Xuedong roared. He struck out with his sword again, releasing countless sword chi. However, in the next moment, the sword chi condensed into a sword light as thick as a mountain, slashing at Leng Ying. Have you used your ultimate move? This move is more like it. Leng Ying's cold voice sounded. Then Leng Ying soared into the sky, using his divine power. He seemed to have turned into a divine eagle, waving his blade-like wings. Boom, 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 boom. Violent energy collided with each other, creating 1,000 layers of energy waves. In an instant, there were hundreds of explosions. In the end, the sword light vibrated and shattered in the air. Then, a divine eagle flashed and disappeared. Following that, a figure screamed and retreated. Boom. Xuedong's body landed heavily on the mountain peak, vomiting blood. His chest was torn open, and there were a few bloody holes. They were obviously caused by the eagle's claws. Defeated. Xuedong, a 9th-level heavenly god sword cultivator, was defeated in just 2 moves. Why? Many new members were pale, unable to believe it. They were at the same level, and both of them had divine-grade divine power. Why was Xuedong defeated so badly? It's divine power. His divine power is about to awaken his origin factor. Suddenly, someone shouted. What? Origin factor? Someone exclaimed. However, there were also some people that revealed bewildered expressions. What was the origin factor? What is origin factor? Lu Ming muttered. He had never heard of it before. Brother Lu, you don't know about the origin factor? Wu Ming looked at Lu Ming and said, I don't know. Brother Wu, what is the origin factor? Lu Ming shook his head and asked. The origin factor is the origin of a kind of divine power. Brother Lu, you should know that the primitive universe is divided into 2 eras, right? Wu Ming said. Yeah, there are 2 eras. The earliest one is the era of incipient god and the last one is the heavenly palace era. Lu Ming nodded. He had read about this in the ancient records long ago. The long history of this universe was divided into the incipient god era and the heavenly palace era. In the incipient god era, the universe had just been created. Earth and heaven had given birth to so many intimidating existences. These existences were called incipient gods, the primitive gods. For example, the ancient god clan was also one of the incipient gods. And now, it was the later period of the heavenly palace era. In the incipient god era, the powerful existences were born naturally. They were born with different kinds of divine power. They were called the origin divine power. The current divine power can't be compared to them. Wu Ming said. Not even the divine-grade divine power? Lu Ming asked. No, it's not even close. Wu Ming shook his head. The divine-grade divine power and the origin divine power can't be compared to each other. The difference in quality is like the difference between rotten wood and gold. Not to mention the incipient god era, even in the early period of the heavenly palace era, The divine grade divine power was the most basic divine power. Any warrior who had some innate talents could control the divine grade divine power. However, as time passed, the divine chi in the primitive universe became thinner and thinner, and the origin became scarcer and scarcer. Cultivators were scattered all over the universe, so it became more and more difficult to control high-quality divine power. In the end, it evolved into divine power, saint divine power, king divine power, and ordinary divine power. Wu Ming spoke frankly and frankly. As he came from a big aristocratic family, he knew a lot about the history of the ancient desolate universe. Lu Ming was astounded. He didn't expect that in the early period of the Heavenly Palace era, the divine power that a warrior could control was the divine grade divine power. However, what did it have to do with the origin factor of the divine power? Lu Ming didn't say anything, waiting for Wu Ming to continue. Sure enough, Wu Ming continued. Strictly speaking, saint grade, king grade, and ordinary grade god force are all unqualified god force. These kinds of god force have limited potential. Cultivating to the god-king realm is already the limit. It's impossible to break through any further. The reason is that these divine powers can't awaken the origin factor. Only the divine grade divine power can awaken the origin factor. Actually, every divine grade divine power is evolved from the original divine power of origin, and every divine grade divine power can find a corresponding divine power of origin. Therefore, as long as you continue to awaken the origin factor, the divine grade divine power can be transformed into the corresponding origin divine power. Then, you can control the origin and have infinite power, Wu Ming said. At this point, there was a burning flame in his eyes. Then how can I awaken the origin factor? Lu Ming asked again. His heart was burning with passion. Jianghu didn't leave behind this knowledge. There was no record of it in the universe myriad Dao technique. Comprehension and application. You can only continue to comprehend and control the divine grade divine power. When you reach a certain level, you can naturally awaken the origin factor. Wu Ming said. So, Lung Ying has awakened the origin factor? Lu Ming asked. Impossible. The origin factor isn't that easy to awaken. It's terrifyingly difficult. I'm afraid that not even 1 out of 100 divine grade divine powers can awaken it. Only when one's cultivation reaches the high-level divine king level will the chances be higher. I reckon that Lung Ying is only close to awakening the origin factor. Even so, his divine power will become extremely powerful and infinite. Wu Ming said. Lu Ming nodded. He had a rough understanding of the origin factor of divine power. It seemed that his previous understanding of divine power was wrong. Every divine grade divine power had huge potential to be unearthed. Then, it seems that my current cultivation path is wrong. Lu Ming whispered. There were 10 types of divine powers in his body, but only 2 of them were divine grade divine powers. According to Wu Ming, other than divine grade divine powers, whether it was holy grade, king grade, or ordinary divine powers, they were all incomplete and had limited potential. Chapter 2985. Aside from the divine grade divine force, the other divine forces had limited potential and could not awaken the origin factor. Therefore, it was meaningless to continue cultivating. It was just a waste of time. Looks like I have to find a chance to cultivate a divine grade divine technique with a similar attribute to the divine force. Then I can integrate the divine fire into the divine grade divine fire. Lu Ming thought. As long as he cultivated a divine grade divine force with a similar attribute, he could integrate the divine grade divine force, royal grade divine force, and ordinary grade divine force. Of course, Lu Ming could also disperse it himself. However, that would be too wasteful. Lu Ming had spent a lot of effort to cultivate each type of divine force. The Starry Camp is the place where the geniuses of the Jianghu Heavenly King Mansion gather. There should be no shortage of divine grade divine techniques. Lu Ming thought. A place like the Qintian Star Field had several divine grade divine techniques. The Jianghu Heavenly King Mansion would definitely not lack divine grade divine techniques. After all, Any one of the geniuses here had mastered divine-grade divine force. Most of the geniuses had relied on divine-grade divine arts to cultivate their cultivation. Lu Ming and Wu Mingyi were discussing. The others were also discussing as they looked at Leng Ying in awe. Leng Ying, even if he had not awakened the origin factor of his divine force, he was close to it. He was invincible among his peers. No wonder Xue Xiao was defeated so miserably. Who still wants my courtyard? Come and fight, don't waste my time. Leng Ying's eyes swept across the crowd. Many of them lowered their heads when they saw Leng Ying's sharp eyes. No one wanted to fight. Xue Dong's strength was definitely the top among the new members. If even he could not defeat him, the others would only be looking for trouble. I don't believe that the people living here are all so strong. Suddenly, a voice was heard. Many people's eyes lit up. That's right. Perhaps they were just unlucky to have chosen such an expert. Not everyone else had such a cultivation level. In a flash, a young man appeared in front of another courtyard. You want to challenge me? The owner of this courtyard was already alarmed by the commotion outside. He leaned against the door lazily and asked, That's right. I want your courtyard. A ninth-layer heaven god realm aura spread from his body. This was a genius no weaker than Xue Dong. Make your move. The laid-back young man said lazily. Jumping thunder fist. The young man who challenged Yi Futian made his move and punched out. Lightning filled the sky and the void trembled. The power of his punch was shocking. However, after a few moves, the lightning dispersed and the challenger followed in Xue Dong's footsteps and was heavily injured. Defeated again. So strong, this person's strength is also very strong. He is also an existence that is close to awakening the divine power of origin. Someone exclaimed. Everyone else's faces turned pale. Was the second person also this strong? It couldn't be that the people who lived here were all so powerful, right? They were all close to awakening the origin divine force factor, right? In that case, no one would be able to succeed today. I don't believe it. Continue. Someone roared and continued to challenge the other monasteries. But reality proved that their guesses were correct. The geniuses who lived here all had shocking strength. They were all existences close to awakening their quintessence god force. Using a crushing method, they defeated them. In the end, no one continued to challenge him. Could it be that we have to stay here forever? No, I want to go home. At the scene, there was a wave of wailing. Of course, it was just wailing. No one really wanted to go home or leave. If they withdrew because of this reason, even if they returned to their respective families, they would probably be spurned. They would never be able to stand out. Sigh, it's better to work hard and cultivate. Try to awaken the origin divine force factor as soon as possible or break through to the half-step divine king realm. That way we can kill our way up here. Yeah. Many people sighed. They finally understood how terrifying the geniuses were. Some people wanted to withdraw. You, wait a moment. Suddenly, a cold voice rang out. An aura spread towards Lu Ming and landed on Autumn Moon. Lu Ming frowned. The owner of that aura was the first person to be challenged, Leng Ying. At this moment, Leng Ying's eyes were flickering with evil flames as he stared at Autumn Moon. Boom! Autumn Moon's aura erupted, wanting to break free from Leng Ying's aura. However, he failed. What is this guy trying to do? Some people were surprised. Miss, you don't have to go down. You can stay in my courtyard. I happen to need a maid. Leng Ying said calmly, his voice sounding like an order. Who wants to be your maid? Dream on. Autumn Moon struggled. You refuse? Leng Ying's eyes flashed and said, You don't have to stay in the smelly place below if you stay here. Moreover, I will guide you in your cultivation when I'm free. This is a great opportunity for you. Do you understand? Leng Ying stared at Autumn Moon. As for Lu Ming, Wu Yu, and Wu Ming, he directly ignored them. Many people looked at Autumn Moon with pity. Leng Ying said it in a dignified manner. In fact, he was only interested in Autumn Moon's beauty and wanted to keep Autumn Moon for himself. However, Autumn Moon was indeed beautiful. The other young men were also tempted. Bam! At this moment, Lu Ming took a step forward and landed in front of Autumn Moon. The ground shook and Leng Ying's aura was defeated. Leng Ying's eyes flashed with killing intent. He finally looked at Lu Ming. "Kid, are you trying to be nosy?" Leng Ying said coldly. "What do you mean by being nosy?" "She's my woman. You tell me, is this nosy?" Lu Ming said calmly. "Your woman?" Leng Ying's eyes were filled with killing intent when he heard this. He said, "It's a waste for such a beauty to fall into your hands. It pisses me off." Lu Ming said calmly. Then I'm going to cripple your eyes," Leng Ying shouted coldly. His body flashed and rushed towards Lu Ming. His 2 fingers were like 2 javelins, piercing towards Lu Ming's eyes. Bang! Lu Ming fully unleashed the god force in his body. At the same time, he activated the battle seal to quadruple his strength. A long spear appeared in Lu Ming's hand silently. The spear shuddered and fired 2 spear glows. Thump, thump. The spear glows collided with Leng Ying's fingers, resulting in 2 explosions. Lu Ming's figure was knocked a few steps back. However, Leng Ying's figure was knocked back too. What? He blocked it? The others were astounded. Apart from Wu Ming, Wu Yu, and a few others, the others found it hard to believe that Lu Ming was able to block Leng Ying's attack and knock him back. Lu Ming was only a 4th-layer Heaven God Realm cultivator. Even Leng Ying himself was astonished. He never thought that a 4th-layer Heaven God would be able to unleash such shocking power. Chapter 2986. Kid, not bad, but I've only used 20% of my strength. Now I'll show you my true strength. Leng Ying yelled. His aura surged as he circulated his god force, forming a giant eagle around him. The eagle screeched as Leng Ying pounced at Lu Ming. His sharp claws tore through the air, grabbing at Lu Ming. "You're not the only one who hasn't used his full strength," Lu Ming bellowed coldly. Following which, his body swelled rapidly and he transformed into a green-armored ancient god that was a few 100 meters tall. Buzz! His spear vibrated and swept across the mountain, stirring up a strong gust of wind. At the next moment, Leng Ying's claws grabbed Lu Ming's giant spear. Bang! Buzz, buzz, buzz. The eagle claws grabbed the spear, resulting in a loud explosion and an ear-piercing sound of friction, with sparks flying in all directions. The 2 clashed for a few breaths' time, before the spear shuddered and withdrew. However, Leng Ying's body was knocked a few 1,000 meters back before he could regain his footing. His claws were placed behind his back, trembling slightly to avoid being seen by others. His eyes were filled with astonishment. Lu Ming's strength had completely exceeded his expectations. Such a terrifying god force. The others were astounded too. Some of the older members, including those who lived on the Star Peak, looked at Lu Ming in astonishment. No one had expected Lu Ming to possess such strength. Ancient God Body, it's the Ancient God Body. I didn't expect him to have cultivated the Ancient God Body to such an extent. How shocking! What's even more shocking is that he's only a 4th-layer Heaven God. Sounds of discussion could be heard all around. They did not expect there to be such a strong genius among the newcomers. I didn't expect there to be a genius like you among the newcomers. You're quite strong. Since you're so strong, I'll let bygones be bygones. You may leave, Leng Ying said. He then waved his hand. Let bygones be bygones? Hee, I didn't say that I didn't care. Lu Ming sneered. Lu Ming had no intention of letting the other party off so easily since he dared to touch his woman. What do you want? Leng Ying's face darkened. I've taken a fancy to your courtyard. Now take your things and scram. Lu Ming said coldly. Lu Ming had been considering who he should challenge, but who would have thought that Frigid Eagle would take the initiative to challenge him? In that case, he might as well start with him. Brat, don't refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. Leng Ying shouted coldly, his killing intent cold. I like to drink as a forfeit, so what? If you don't scram, then I'll make you scram. Lu Ming shouted coldly and strode towards Leng Ying. His huge spear pressed down on Leng Ying with the force of Mount Tai. You're courting death. Leng Ying roared furiously. With a long whistle, A huge divine eagle condensed around his body. It carried his body and soared into the sky, charging towards Lu Ming. Boom! The two collided for the second time, and the sky shook violently. Lu Ming's figure shook slightly, but Leng Ying's body retreated quickly. Is this the power of someone who's about to awaken their origin divine force? It's indeed powerful. Lu Ming's mind raced. He felt that Leng Ying's divine force was extremely powerful, and it had almost crushed his own divine force. If he didn't have 10 types of divine force and the support of the battle character art, he wouldn't have been able to withstand it. Again! Lu Ming shouted and continued to attack Leng Ying. Bang! Bang! Lu Ming stepped on the void, and with every step, a 9-clawed dragon would fly out. After 7 steps, 7 9-clawed dragons had formed and pounced on Leng Ying. At the same time, Lu Ming's spear slashed down, using the second move of the 3 strikes of extinction, moon slashing. He used his divine skill and secret technique at the same time, and a terrifying attack rolled toward Leng Ying like a wave. Divine Eagle illuminates the world. Leng Ying let out a long cry. Feathers actually grew out of his skin, causing his divine eagle form to become even more powerful. The two exchanged blows in the void, and in the blink of an eye, they had already exchanged dozens of blows. Leng Ying is about to lose. Someone whispered. In the battle between Leng Ying and Lu Ming, Leng Ying had been at a disadvantage from the beginning to the end, and was suppressed by Lu Ming. His defeat was only a matter of time, and it would happen very quickly. Sure enough, Leng Ying managed to exchange dozens of blows with Lu Ming and was struck by Lu Ming's spear. One of the wings of the divine eagle that he had transformed into collapsed. Leng Ying's face changed drastically, and he spurted out a mouthful of blood. Void piercing, void piercing. Lu Ming took the opportunity to launch a fierce attack, and dozens of terrifying spear radiances attacked Leng Ying. Each of these spear radiances was equivalent to the full power of Lu Ming's void piercing. If it wasn't for the continuous supply of divine force from the quantifying character art, Lu Ming wouldn't have been able to squander it like this. Rumble! After being struck by these spear radiances, Leng Ying's divine eagle completely collapsed, and his body was pierced through by a spear radiance. The spear radiance carried his body and landed on the star peak, nailing him to a rock. Leng Ying didn't die. This was Lu Ming being merciful. Otherwise, this spear would have taken his life. As a newcomer, Lu Ming didn't want to attract too much trouble. Many people were dumbfounded. They didn't expect Leng Ying to be defeated, and so miserably at that. As for the older members, their gazes were grave. Lu Ming had given them a lot of pressure. Lu Ming waved his hand, and the spear radiance on Leng Ying's body disappeared. Leng Ying fell to the ground, coughing up large mouthfuls of blood. His injuries were very serious, and he wouldn't be able to recover without 10 days to half a month. Now scram, Lu Ming said indifferently. Just you wait. Leng Ying spat out these words, and then staggered down the mountain. Now that he had been defeated and chased out of the courtyard, he no longer had the qualifications to fly in this area. He could only walk on his feet. Lu Ming smiled faintly. He stepped into the courtyard and swept his gaze over the place. The courtyard was very big and unique. Lu Ming liked it very much. Autumn Moon, stay here with me. Lu Ming walked out and said to Autumn Moon. According to the rules, the owner of the courtyard could invite several people to stay together. Yes, young master. Autumn Moon smiled. The other new members were envious. They envied Lu Ming for being able to stay on the star peak, and not at the foot of the mountain. Brother Wu Ming, brother Wu Yu, let's stay together. Lu Ming invited Wu Ming and Wu Yu. The courtyard was very big and there were many rooms. It wouldn't be a problem for a few more people to stay together. We don't need it. We want to rely on our own strength in the future. Wu Ming smiled. That's right. Only by staying below will we have motivation. In fact, our Wu family also has other prodigies staying above, but if they come up directly, they won't have any pressure. Wu said, that's good too. I'll wait for you up there. Lu Ming smiled and didn't insist. He knew that Wu Ming and Wu Yu were right. Only by staying below would they have motivation. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Immortal journey, YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.